Hello, everyone, and welcome to Round 8 of the 2022 AMA Esports Motocross Championship in MX Simulator. It is the Washougal MX Simulator National, live here on Start Your Systems on YouTube, Init Esports on Twitch, and ESTV. My name is Kellen Brower, and I've been bringing you guys the action all year long, and I'm ready to bring you guys the action for tonight's racing here at Washougal in Washington. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the Pacific Northwest, and boy, oh boy, it is fantastic to be back here as well. I personally love this racetrack. I think it is one of the best on the circuit myself. It's a beautiful racetrack to watch the races, but also it seems to lend to some good racing every year that we come to Washougal. So excited to bring you guys action here tonight. But again, we're not going to waste too much time here tonight before we get into it, because I believe we're going straight into the motos like we have over the last couple weeks. So let's go ahead and take you guys into the qualifying times here at Washougal and see what we are looking at. Starting off with the 450 division, of course, we'll take a look at what happened in the 450 class over the last day or so, with qualifying starting a little over 24 hours ago now at this point. Payson Johnson, your championship leader, has gone fastest at a 2:17.437. Trevor Burns, bit of a surprise to see the 28 up there on a 2:18.132. Alexis Leclerc, Bryce Whelan, Jaden Wilson also in the mix. And remember, if we think back to Spring Creek a week ago, Alexis Leclerc was able to close that gap down a little bit to Payson Johnson. We're going to talk about that championship picture shaping up here in the 450 class tonight. But again, looking down the order, looks like 43 guys ran laps. I'm assuming they're going to probably let that slide all the way through to have a maybe 43 rider moto in the 450 class. So the 250 class, Cade Matherly, fastest qualifier here tonight at a 2:27.57. Seth Shirley, Jet Holyhead, Logan Leitzel, Max Chwalik inside of the top five. I believe Shirley is actually aboard a new program this week, so we'll talk about that a little bit. Good to see the Aussie of Jet Holyhead in the mix. And, of course, our championship leader, Logan Leitzel, who is still, at this point in time, a perfect 7 for 7 in the overalls to start the 2022 season. So we'll talk about the championship standings, of course. With no Nathan Print at the Spring Creek National last week, Logan Leitzel extended that championship lead out to 95 points. And we're going to see, I don't think Print is racing the 250 class again tonight. So now we're kind of looking at Bordeaux, Matherly, Hunt, Sullivan in that battle for more or less second in the championship. And it's pretty close between Bordeaux, Matherly, and Hunt there. Obviously only 7 points separating them. So good to see some fight between those guys. But they are obviously well behind Leitzel in this 250 championship. So it's going to be tough for anybody to kind of surmount him in the championship, but maybe they can still knock him off the perfect season when it comes to overalls as we move down the stretch run here. 450 class, though, definitely tightened up. Johnson had a tough week at Spring Creek, really up and down moto. Rage quit right at the finish line jump as he crossed the line in Moto 2 because he was not happy with how that second moto transpired. Ends up now with a 37-point championship lead after Leclerc had his best day of the year at Spring Creek, winning his second national of 2022, and now just 37 points down. So are the tides shifting as we get into the second half of this championship? Can Leclerc continue to chip away, get that gap maybe under 25 points, which is one moto's distance? And maybe we're talking a little bit about a championship fight down the stretch here when it really looked like Johnson was going to run away with this thing. So a couple storylines there just to lead into it. But again, like I said, I think we're going right into the racing tonight. So let's go ahead and jump back into the server and see what is happening, what's going on, and whether or not we are going to jump right into the racing or not. But fantastic to have you guys with us here tonight. Always appreciate the continued support of our viewers, whether you're watching on Start Your Systems on YouTube, Init Esports on Twitch, or ESTV. We thank you guys for tuning into this 8th round of the AMA Esport Motocross Championship in MX Simulator. Briefly discussing it before we get started here tonight. If you've never seen MX Simulator before, this is of course, motocross simulator, motocross simulation video game. I'm not sure what's going on with my game right now. Oh, there we go. But this game was created in 2007 as a soft beta. It was released in 2007, I should say, created before that. Released officially in 2008. So we're working on about 15 years of this game being publicly available. And we're on the 13th season, I believe, of a professional championship series being ran in MX Simulator. This is the 12th year of the national championship being ran in MX Simulator. And it's been a lot of fun to watch it as the years go by. Looks like this might be a consolation race, or are they just letting some guys out on the track? I'm not too sure. This is an interesting mix of guys in the 250 class, including Nathan Prynn, who is getting lined up to go here in this one. So not sure if this is going to be a consi or not, or perhaps it is a consolation race already going on and these guys are currently pushing the pace. But we'll break that down in just a moment. The consolation race, if you've never seen an MX Simulator race, or really a professional motocross race before. The consolation race is essentially a 4-lap last chance qualifier race where guys who did not pre-qualify into the motos have this last shot at racing their way into the motos. And it looks like these guys are just kind of messing around. So not sure if this is a consolation race or not, or maybe we're about to get going with the consolation race. But either way, back to the point of MX Simulator. Game 15 years old, but all this stuff that you're watching right here is actually user-created content, user-created tracks, user-created motorcycles, user-created gear and rider skins and so forth, all put on top of this base game that was created in 2008. So we've been at it for quite some time. Looks like this is indeed the 250 consolation race. So here we go. First gate drop of the night. Let's see what happens. 4 riders are going to go through to the motos, and we have not seen a consi in a few weeks. As we are off and running, Nathan Prin's going to loop out his number 12 Underground RC KTM a little bit into that first turn, but it's going to be Tanner Thorson leading him in, and this will give you guys a good early perspective of what we are going to see here tonight at Washougal, how the track will race, and where these guys are going to go to try to make up some time as Thorson leads it up the hill on the first lap of the race. Everybody trying to get a drive up Horsepower Hill. Definitely one of the trademark features here at the Washougal racetrack. As Thorson almost through the front door. He's got Will Clark right behind him. Clark going to kind of bounce into this corner. He's bringing Nate Brow and Seth Harnischfeger, Roy Mitchell with him. Still no sign of Print inside of the top 4 just yet, as they're going to fan out 3 wide on this drop down. Print is into the 5th position, and really at this point kind of starting to hang the championship in the balance with whether or not Print can make the motos. You have Leitzel putting himself in a situation where it gets any more out of hand in the next couple of weeks. He might even be able to wrap this 12-round championship up 3 whole rounds early, which could be wrong, but I believe that is the earliest we will have ever seen a championship wrapped up in MX Simulator history. As, down goes Prin, and that is going to be very detrimental for his chances on making the motos, because this is a short race, and it looks like there's a pretty good mix of guys in this one. So Thorson continues to lead. Roy Mitchell on the 270 closing up behind him. And whoa, Mitchell to the outside, and he goes down. I just saw some legs kick up, so that was a legs off crash, a fall off crash as we sometimes refer to it here in MX Simulator. That is when the legs fall off of the bike, but your hands will never actually become detached from the handlebars, so the legs will always be the only thing that can fall off. The hands will stay on forever. But if your legs do fall off the bike, you're going to have a crash that will last anywhere from 8 to 12 seconds before you'll be back to full song and going towards the battles that you were in beforehand. And so when we say a fall off crash or legs off crash, that is what we are referring to here. Tanner Thorson's going to lead the first lap of the race. 3 laps to go in the 250 last chance qualifier or consolation race, depending on what you want to call it. It looks like the Race Factory Gaming guys like to call it the LCQ. I do think that consolation race is a little bit of a weird name. Shortened it to Consi, but it is the last chance qualifier. It's okay. Motocross, you can name stuff that is similar to Supercross. It doesn't have to be all doing something different at all times. Thorson, front end tucking down. That'll put Will Clark into the lead, and Nate Brow runs into him and goes down as well. Through the inside there, looks like the 246, I believe, as Nathan McLaughlin goes by. So McLaughlin into 2nd, Thorson to 3rd. Prin now up into 4th as Jack Fowler nearly getting together there with Nate Brow as they come up Horsepower Hill. Fowler on the right side of your screen, the 704 Rockstar Makita Suzuki rider. As Prin has now worked his way back into a transfer spot, so looking a little bit better right there, doing the triple-double through that inside line right there. To the outside, turns to the inside on Thorson. A nice move in the end by Prin to cut back underneath. And now he will take over 3rd place as he tails up to Nathan McLaughlin, who is going after the Ty Masterpool look here by the looks of it. He's got no decals on that bike as Prin lays it over in the corner, but McLaughlin looking for the Ty Masterpool look out here. No decals. Doesn't even have side plate decals on the back as McLaughlin's going to kick out huge sideways. I think he somehow saved it. He's going to be able to retain 3rd place in the meantime, but Prin going to shoot back into now 2nd place. The battle for 3rd between McLaughlin and Thorson continues. Thorson down the inside is going to make that pass, then he slides out and allows Jack Fowler to go by. So this consolation race certainly has quite a few fireworks kicked off already. And the 981 of Brent Heinzelman getting into the mix. Heinzelman, talk about OG of OGs. He is he raced this series for over a decade now, but not at the entire time. Basically raced this series a decade ago and took a long hiatus. And this is the first time we've seen him in, man, it feels like a decade, but it's probably been about 7 years since Heinzelman really raced competitively in MX Simulator. Now back in action here, trying to have his go at the professional scene. And that's another thing as well, is Heinzelman's going to hop on by to make the pass by the looks of it on Tanner Thorson. This series is the highest of the high when it comes to MX Simulator professional racing. If you want to compete against the very best in the world, pretty much, this is a series that you're going to be racing. And all of these guys that are racing have either raced their way through the amateur ranks or been grandfathered in from being a veteran of the series. And they all have professional licenses in the game. If you're interested in playing this series or playing the game to this competitive level, be sure to check out racefactorgaming.com or initesports.gg to get involved. But if you go through racefactorgaming.com, there are amateur races that you can also get involved in if you would like to race the amateur or 250 amateur nationals in this game. And those are for your lower level licenses and riders who are not quite up to snuff when it comes to the pro pace just yet. So you're beginners of the game and people that are just trying to figure things out a little bit, get their feet wet. You guys want to try that out? RaceFactorGaming.com is the place to do it. But as well as you're trying to get involved into the game, if you're interested in the game, MXSimulator.com is a place to go, and you can check out the demo there, play the demo for free, try out the physics engine. It won't be quite the graphic aesthetics that you are seeing currently on your screen. This is all user-created stuff that is not involved in the base game, so once you get the demo, you're only going to see the base game, which is some pretty, stockish-looking stuff for the most part. But the whole point is to try out the demo, see what the physics engine feels like. It's going to be very difficult. I promise you it's not an easy game to learn, but once you do learn it, once you compete at the highest level in this game, it is arguably one of the most satisfying feelings in video games. So Will Clark is going to continue to lead this race as he scrubs down out of the back section over the road jump. Coming to the white flag this time by, and it looks like for Clark's case, it's more or less just trying to hold off the gap behind to Nathan Prynne. Prynne has got this thing down to just about 4 seconds, and we know Prynne very capable of running some ridiculously fast laps. So it'll be interesting to see if on this last lap, Prynne can wick it up and close up on Clark. Now, I believe Prynne is in this LCQ by the virtue that he did not run a qualifying lap, and if he did, he may have ran one very late, didn't get a good time down, because we've certainly seen him be fastest qualifier not only this year, but many times before. So it is peculiar to see him in an LCQ, but just sometimes happens that these guys don't get a chance to play the game for the many hours leading up to the racing event. So if you come in late, you throw in a last-minute hot lap or something, or you just sign up late or something like that, they'll usually get you into that LCQ, give you a chance to race your way in. And Prynne is doing just that right now as he closes the gap down now, almost down to 2 seconds on Will Clark. So he's certainly pushing as he scrubs that table hard down past the mechanics area. Nathan Prynne feeling good right now. Up horsepower hill they come, and this is certainly going to come right on down to the wire of whether Prynne can get to our race leader, Will Clark, who has been holding on since the early stages of this one. It's a short 4-lap race, but here comes Prynne to the outside on the step down, trying to take the race lead away. Landed in the tough blocks, but switches back to the inside. Let's see if he gets to drive up this hill. Clark fights back. They're still side by side at the top. And it looks like they're going to drop down into the center of the racetrack side by side as well. Prynne scrubs down hard, gets on the brakes, trying to get to that inside. Clark around the outside. That turns to the inside. Prynne cuts back up underneath and takes the lead and takes Clark down. So Prynne to the front. Clark down in second, but it looks as though he will continue to pick the bike back up there in that same position. Crazy little finish here that we have in this consolation race as Nathan Prynne has assumed the race lead of this one with just a few turns left to go as he lays it down on the big road gap step up in the back section of the track. Honestly, that jump right there, in person at least, is one of my favorite in the national schedule all season long. Always curious about what the riders think about what jump is their favorite, but yeah, that one is a pretty good one in my opinion. So Print is going to come on down and lead the field home in the 250 consolation race as he hits the whoops one last time. Hops his way through, and Nathan Prynne takes the win in the 250 consolation race. Will Clark, Boots House 114, kind of hopping his way through. Ooh, he is going to lay it down. We'll pick it up just fine in second. Nathan McLaughlin has got third, pretty well locked down, and Jack Fowler right now has no pressure from behind. So as he just gets through these rollers clean, he will be on his way to the motos, and he has done so. So Fowler, final ticket to the main motos here out of the consolation race. Seth Harnischweger, Tanner Thorson, Roy Mitchell, Brent Heintzelman, Nate Brow, Colton Heckman, and myself in warm-up mode are all not going to the motos here tonight, as it was Prynne who got it done. Cuts are in, nothing changed, as Prynne goes to the main motos. So take a look in chat just a minute here and see whether or not we are going to have a 450 consi or if we're just moving right into the motos at this point in time. I'll make sure I see it so I don't miss it. Peculiar, though, that Prynne, for whatever reason, didn't make it into the motos because his lap time was very solid right there. 2:26.5. He was 7 seconds faster than, 6 seconds faster than anybody else on the track. Harnischweger in 5th place was able to go down to a 2:32.7. And we saw the top qualifying times hovering in those high teens, low 20s. So that 2:26 certainly should have been good enough to make the motos. I just have to imagine at this point that Prynne just didn't get a lap in or signed up late or something along those lines, that it just didn't come together, and now he has forced his way in through the consolation race. The good thing about the Washougal start here is that even a far outside gate is not dreadful. You're still probably going to get boxed out a little bit. You might have to settle in for like a 10th place start at your best, but it could be worse. There are some tracks on the circuit, like Butts Creek, for example, that the inside is really, really unfair. So, yeah, Prynne's going to be okay, I think, from that far outside gate pick. Maybe even swoop inside off the start, try to get a good start. So we'll see what happens, as it looks like indeed 250 moto number 1 is going to be coming up first. So we'll be sure to load up these naming conventions right for you guys so you can see what moto is going out onto the track right now. 250 moto number 1. Got our timing monitor up as well. And if you're new to MX Simulator Professional Racing or to motocross at the really any level, but really the highest level of motocross, what we're going to see tonight is 2 30-minute plus 2-lap motos in both the 250 and 450 divisions. That 250 class will be running first, then 450 Moto 1 will follow it shortly after. 250 Moto 2 will be after that, and 450 Moto 2 will complete the night to make up those 4 motos that we're going to see here tonight. So this is a full-blown 35-minute race that these guys are going to be dragging out, trying to battle for the race victory in that one, because full points are paid per moto. So 25 points given to the winner of the moto, 22 for second, 20 for third, 18 for fourth, 16 for 5th, 15 for 6th, 14 for 7th, and so on and so forth, down by 1 point all the way back to 20th place. What ends up happening at the end of the day is we will tally up the total points scored between both motos, both 250 motos and 450 motos, and determine an overall winner for each class on the day. So if someone goes 1-1 perhaps in the 250 class, they'll of course score 50 points and win the overall. If they go 2-1 and somebody else goes 1-2, they'll tie on 47 points, but the winner of the second moto gets the nod on the overall victory. So that is how we calculate who wins the actual event that we're watching here tonight. But of course, at the end of the day, all of these guys are very focused in on that championship, which right now, Logan Leitzel enters this round with a 95-point lead in the championship over Nathan Prynn, 120 points over Johan Bordeaux. Cade Matherly, Seth Shirley, Cooper Hunt, some other guys also right there in the mix trying to battle for some good positions. So we'll see what ends up happening as 250 Moto number 1 getting ready to go in just a moment. All right, Special K in chat rushed home from work with pizza and Dr. Pepper. He's ready for the races. That sounds like a good night to me. Honestly, I'm a little bit jealous. I wish I was just watching the races too. That'd be a lot of fun. Kick back with some DP and some pizza. Have yourself a night. But we are ready and set to go for those points-paying motos coming up here in just a few moments. Yeah, the racing is about to start, folks. We are just moments away from 250 Moto number 1. They're headed to the gate right now. Once we load in, we will give you guys a proper run through the field and a lineup check as these guys right now are circulating the racetrack on their parade lap, trying to see the track one last time, see what the track looks like, and whether or not they're happy with their lines before the racing starts. If you've never seen MX Simulator Professional Racing before, all of the lines that are laid into the track right here are pre-developed lines. They are lines that were created by the track creator to more or less force the lines of the track. But there is also terrain deformation on the game. So you're going to see the track slowly develop. Those lines will get deeper. The braking bumps will get harder and gnarlier. And we're going to see the tracks change throughout a moto. But it does reset every single time the server restarts, which means that once that moto is done, the track goes back to exactly as you see it right now from this overhead view with those ruts kind of skewed about. And we're going to see what happens. All right, 250 Moto number 1. Let's give you a lineup check. Caden Speck, Dylan Love, Evan Holt, Seth Carr, Braden Tharp, Tyler Blowers, Will Clark, Nathan McLaughlin, Austin Irwin, Nico Marchini, Christopher McPherson Jr., Tanner Rogers, Max Spokes, Ethan Gers, Trent Adams, Logan Leitzel, your championship leader, Trent Adams, Ryan Swanson, Noah McLaughlin, Johan Bordeaux, Garrett Hollenbeck, Adrian Wilson, Jarrett Gaskew, Nathan Prynn, Daniel Mills, Jack Gatlin, Jack Fowler, Seth Shirley, Max Chwalik, Hayden Stevenson, Jake Melton, Jed Holyhead, Andoni Ezcura, Sonny Spicer, Luke Sullivan, Frank Jackson, Maxime Vanderbeek, Millie Soderblom, Bodie Parker, and Cade Matherly, your fastest qualifier here tonight on the stance number 38. Rider out of California. Looks like we have headed back to the West Coast here, and he has dialed it up a little bit. All right, folks. It is time. 250 Moto number 1 lining up, ready to go. 30 minutes plus 2 laps, ready to drop the gate here for the first moto of the night at Washougal. This is going to be a fun one to watch. Strap in, ladies and gentlemen. This first corner is going to be chaotic. Who will get through the first corner first? We're going to have to figure out someone to watch here on the inside. Perhaps we look at our fastest qualifier. Perhaps we look at Logan Leitzel. He's got a pretty good inside move down here. He's not right next between Bordeaux and Bodie Parker. As we look down the running order and see what happens. Here we go. 30 car to sideways. Let's drop the gate here at Washougal. Couple guys wheeling, couple guys going down. It's a land rush into this first corner, and it's going to be led through by Seth Carr. He gets kicked sideways, and the Studio 8 hole shot goes to Seth Shirley. Newly aboard the Underground RC Phil Ski and Snowboard team this week, Shirley leads him up Horsepower Hill on lap number 1. From Caden Speck in second place, you got the 346 of Max Chwalik to the outside, the 43 of Trent Adams in there. See the 29 of Gers. He's got a good start. A couple guys going long at the top of the hill, and Shirley has got himself a big lead. Through the bottom of the hill in the back section of the track, Chwalik moves to second, Carr to third, Gers to fourth, and Nathan Prynn, just as we discussed from the outside gate, 37th gate selection, has got himself a good start. He is in fifth. Bring in fellow Frenchman Johan Bordeaux. With him to the outside, maybe cutting to the inside. Bordeaux might try to make a pass here on Prynn. They're going to go side by side down the hill, but Prynn will hold station with Trent Adams on the 43 in the mix as well. Bodie Parker. Have not seen the 16 of championship leader Logan Leitzel squeak by just yet, but we've got a new leader. Max Chwalik has taken over the race lead here. The Polish rider for District Designs out front. as he leads him over the top of the hill on the first lap of the race. So something happened to our early leader. Must have gone down somewhere. We missed it. But Chwalik goes to the front. We're still trying to take a look at timing and scoring, see if we can figure out where Leitzel is. He is in 9th place, so a good start there for the 16. Surely our early leader now going to settle back to 10th, and judging by that gap and where he is on the racetrack now, I'd have to imagine he did have a fall-off crash from the race lead at some point. So Chwalik is going to come on down to lead the first lap of the race. He is bringing Seth Carr with him. Ethan Gerst right there in the mix as well. Everybody trying to jockey for positions as they hit the whoops on the first lap here. But it is Chwalik now from Seth Carr. Back to Ethan Gerst. Then Nathan Prynn crosses the line in 4th at the end of lap number 1. Bodie Parker 5th. Bordeaux 6th. Braden Tharp in 7th. Leitzel in 8th with our early leader and whole shot winner Seth Shirley in 9th. And Tanner Rogers rounding out the top 10. So this will be curious to see what Leitzel can do. Obviously, his nearest championship counterpart, Nathan Prynn, is a few positions in front of him. But I think to him right now, that is the least of his worries. He is just trying to put his head down and focus forward, trying to attack some of the guys in front of him and make some quick passes, get inside of this top 5. Before long, a couple guys making a mistake. That is Tharp, almost clipping that SpongeBob on the inside. So Leitzel going to sneak on by to make his way into 7th. And the next rider in front of him is the 40 of Johan Bordeaux. As little clip of the tough lock right there. Leitzel gets kicked sideways. Oh, he's going to clip the side billboard going up the horsepower hill, and several riders are going to go by. So suddenly, from a great start, Leitzel might see himself fall outside of the points. He's going to lose even more time as Caden Speck pulls up alongside with no drive over the top of horsepower hill. Leitzel's going to fall back to 18th, and he's off the bike again. Fowler goes by, more riders going by. So this is huge, and he might be invisible. A couple guys clipped him right there. Got to make sure he doesn't get hit again. But he has slipped way back here. Almost got clipped right there as well. Someone laying it over alongside of him. But Leitzel, your championship leader, now down in 28th after being 7th just moments ago. That is just goes to show how detrimental it can be to have these early mistakes. Those crashes on the opening laps of the race put you so far back down the field. And now Leitzel has a whole load of work to do to get back to the front of the field, which it is still this man out front right now, the Polish rider Max Chwalik leading the race, but it's not as big as it was moments ago. It looks like Seth Carr on that 35 field ski and snowboard underground machine have closed up, and we're about to have a battle for the race lead here shortly. Chwalik looked really solid last week at Spring Creek, one of his better rides of the season. Oh, up and over the bars goes Seth Carr through the whoop section before the finish line jump. So Prynn is going to shoot by into 2nd. Bordeaux will go to 3rd. The 23 of Shirley now finds his way into 4th. Bodie Parker goes to 5th. And Seth Carr goes from 2nd back to 6th as he remounts just in front of the 53 machine there. That is Braden Tharp on the Connect Visual ride. And it's just so funny how quite literally everybody that is on the KTMs here tonight has elected to go with the classic Washougal look, which is just leave the front of the bike the exact same color, and the everything else go with that teal blue look, which I'm pretty sure the TLD boys did on Honda a long time ago, and it is just transferred to everybody doing it. Doesn't matter what brand you're on at this point, looks like. So Carr's going to make a pass there on Bodie Parker. Parker going to settle in behind him and try to re-attack him as they look a little bit up the road. Here's the battle for 2nd place starting to brew. Bordeaux and Prynn pushing up now as Chwalik continues to lead the race over the top of Horsepower Hill. These guys are about 8 seconds in his rear view mirror. But the battle is certainly on between the two Frenchmen, and our early whole shot winner Seth Shirley is starting to close back into this group as well. Good little fight here. 3 riders sharing the screen. I think ideally they would all like to work together to try to run down Max Chwalik out front. Wow, Nathan Prynn looks like he missed a couple timing gates right there. Our cameras didn't quite catch up to him. And there are timing gates strewn about this racetrack that you cannot see if you're playing. We can't see from this point of view either. The only way you can actually see where the timing gates are laid is by going into the track editor mode to see, where each track creator laid those timing gates down. And there's about 60, sometimes 70 different timing gates that these guys can hit on the track. Is huge mistake for Prynn. He's going to go in and out of the crowd real quick. And then a mistake right behind him for Shirley as he lays it down as well. But to the point, if someone misses timing gates, the cameras are connected to the timing gates as riders go through them. So if they miss a timing gate, the camera will stay with that rider. That may be the wrong camera based on the section that they're in. But once they clip that next timing gate, it'll change to the correct camera, which is why we saw that happen there with Prin momentarily. But also another thing to keep note of with those timing gates is if a rider goes off the track for a lengthy period of time and misses some of those timing gates and actually gains an advantage from each segment of the track to the next, they will be applied a penalty at the end of the race that will add some time to their total race time. We saw a couple weeks ago the win in the first moto at Southwick nearly changed hands as Logan Leitzel had won the moto, but Cade Matherly ended up tying him dead even after penalties were applied, but Leitzel still was awarded the race victory by virtue of being the first rider to cross the finish line jump. And then we've seen many other riders, like Johnson, for example, last week, the 450 championship leader, losing a few spots at the line based on penalties as well. So that's always something to factor in. If these guys go off the track more than a couple times, you have to start thinking about how much that's going to affect their penalties that will be applied at the end of the moto, which none of them know. Nobody knows. None of us can actually see how much time will be ended at the end of the motos per how much time they are spent off the racetrack. We only know once the total race times are given at the end of the motos how much riders have lost or gained. But just keep an eye on that as riders spend some time off the track. 8 minutes down, still got 22 minutes and 2 laps left to go here in 250 Moto number 1 as we head back up to our race leader, Max Chwalik, the District Designs 346 rider. Got up front early, dealt with a little bit of pressure in the early stages of that one from Seth Carr, who had closed up, but then Carr went over the bars in the whoop section before the finish line jump. And now Chwalik still boasting a nice, comfortable 8-second lead on Johan Bordeaux behind him as he continues to lay it down off of that big scrub single into the sand. Most motocross fans will remember Blake Baggett getting absolutely saucy on that big single jump into the sand many years ago when he was still dealing with a wrist injury. And it was peculiar to see him launching out into the sand every single time, but pretty much one of the only few guys doing it. Perhaps we'll see more of that this weekend as well. But Chwalik looking comfortable out front, honestly. Doesn't seem to be out of sorts with controlling the pace here at the front of the field. So as he hops his way through the whoop section before the finish line jump, he will now click onto the 5th lap of the race. And Chwalik now 20 minutes away plus 2 laps from home. As we switch back to second place, Bordeaux and Prin, a little gap between them. Battle for 4th starting to brew. Braden Tharp and Seth Shirley continuing to go back and forth a little bit. Tharp and Shirley, not teammates, though it may appear that way based on the way that their bikes are laid out. As Shirley gets to the inside, Tharp kind of laid it over from the outside. Almost cut back across the line, and that would have been a tough blow to just a small little mistake. Ends up usually with you falling off the bike if you get clipped from the inside like that. Front tire will just be taken right out from underneath of you. But in the end, it worked out just fine for Tharp, and he'll continue on to chase down Shirley, who has moved back into 4th place. Here's our fastest qualifier. First we have seen of him in this moto. Stance's Cade Matherly has found his way into 6th place here in the early runnings. And in a pretty good position right now, it must be said, to still consider winning this moto depending on what happens with Chwalik up front, who has never won a moto, though neither has Cade Matherly, but Chwalik has certainly not been up front as consistently as Matherly has been this year. And I think Matherly, after starting to wick it up in the last couple of weeks, is really knocking on the door here for his first ever moto win, which looked like it had happened at Southwick, but unfortunately the rules are what they are, and Leitzel was given that race victory back at Southwick. So Matherly, about as close as you can get, quite literally, to winning his first ever race just a couple weeks back, and still having to wait, but it seems it will be coming before long because he has been very solid in the second half of the season thus far, and it just continues to get a little bit better each week for the 38. Luke Sullivan, Yogi Designs number 11 rider, looking like a young Mikkel Harup out here green machine with the number 11. He is trying to give chase to Matherly ahead of him. He is running in 7th place right now. And you can see the battles ahead of him still developing a little bit. So I think Sullivan in this case is trying to match the pace of the guys in front of him and hoping when they get together he will catch up to them as they start working on each other for a bit of a battle. Anna Rogers is in 8th, Seth Carr back here in 9th, and Ethan Gerst rounds out the top 10. Bodie Parker is 11th, and now back to Logan Leitzel in 12th position. 2.5 seconds behind Bodie Parker. Good thing for Leitzel, if you want to look at some silver linings here, is it does seem like Leitzel has pretty much a freight train of riders just ahead of him at this point. There's not many noticeably big gaps. Maybe from about 7th to 8th, there's a pretty big gap as he's going to shoot up to 11th. Bodie Parker laid it over. But the leader's pretty far gone. The rest of the field is still in a bit of a freight train besides that. Leitzel just made a little bit of a mistake going into the whoops, and Parker's going to try to fight back. You got Caden Speck there on the 41, also in the mix as well. Leitzel just doesn't quite look as comfortable on this racetrack for whatever reason. I'm not sure what that is. I do know that Leitzel did just race the Pro National in Canada, the real-life Pro National in Canada on the weekend, so maybe he just hasn't had as much time this week to get kind of his settings dialed up and get rev back up for Washougal. But the good thing for him is after this round, there is a couple-week break as the real-life Loretta Lynn's happens in the pro schedule, so we're going to see a couple weeks break in the sim schedule as well. We won't be back racing. Right now it's the 20th of July. We'll be back racing at Unadilla on August 10th, so almost, about 21 days or so of time away from the racetrack as Leitzel spins it around and Bodie Parker goes back by. Back to our leader, Max Chwalik, though. Looking comfortable out front. Big shout out real quick to Johnny Padani, also known as Pro Donnie, who, that is Chwalik, who has gone down. Nathan Print is not going to close up in time before Chwalik gets going again, but that is quite the blow right there for Chwalik's race lead, which had extended out to 14 seconds. That's going to come right back down to 5-6 seconds here. I want to finish that thought there. Padani, a €199 donation. Big shout out to him for that. Always appreciate the donations that you guys send our way. And it says banned, but back next week. Also shout out Jamie. So I guess Padani must have gotten a protest from Spring Creek. I have not seen the protest just yet, but not racing with us here tonight. But he also is not going to be back next week. He's going to be back in about a month's time when we race Unadilla. So that gap is now cut down to 5.6 seconds. 2:26.9 for Print last time by. 2:24.8 was his best. 2:24.4 for Chwalik, who just laid down a 2:33.6 with that crash. Bordeaux checks in at a 28.8. 27.7 for Shirley, who is the man on the move right now. Battle for third has thoroughly been began at this point. And Shirley's bringing someone with him from behind. That is Cade Matherly, the number 38 stance rider from 5th. Is keeping Seth Shirley honest in front of him as Shirley closes up onto Bordeaux for third. And certainly looks like we're about to have a bit of a battle here. Yeah, Matherly is certainly lurking back there. I wonder lap time-wise how he's doing. 27.5 again for Shirley. 26.8 for Matherly, so that is kind of matching the pace right now that Nathan Prynn is putting down in second place. And remember, Prynn is only about 8 seconds up the road from Matherly, so pace-wise, Matherly is on a good streak right now as we crest past the halfway point of this moto. He's not that far off of our race leader either after that crash. This has the makings to get interesting for a couple guys coming through as Matherly gets stuck on Seth Shirley and gets spun around. So Shirley, who had been spending all that time closing up on Bordeaux, it crashes, takes Matherly with him, which allowed Tharp and Sullivan to go by. They just had a bit of an exchange in that corner there, and it looks like it is going to continue on. Tharp on the 53, Shirley on the 11. Outside line for, Sullivan, not Shirley, as we got dualies of the MXS lobby triple jump in the middle. More dualies as they scrub over that hill. And dualies is just when riders are laid over, scrubbing, or whipping side by side as, woo! Big dog dualies into the back. Look at Luke Sullivan tossing out the oppo. Out here just giving her. Love to see it. So Tharp and Sullivan just having a battle right now, and that is going to allow Matherly, who is just down in that crash, to close back in. He would love to get into 4th place. He wants to close down on Bordeaux, wants to close down on Prin, and eventually try to close down on our race leader, Max Chwalik. Meanwhile, speaking of closing down on, Nathan Prin has been caught by Johan Bordeaux as they are starting to catch Max Chwalik for the race lead. So 17 minutes into this thing, starting to heat up at the front a little bit here. Chwalik has been in control since about the 2nd lap of this race. But right now, he is in danger of being caught by the 2 Frenchmen of Nathan Prin and Johan Bordeaux. Oh, kick sideways off the SpongeBob. Prin, a remarkable job to save it, because that could have gotten so much worse. But Bordeaux able to skirt through into 2nd. Prin slides back to 3rd. They're still giving chase to Chwalik up ahead. And now Cade Matherly has moved to 4th and can see the riders ahead of him. This is going to be fun to watch, because Matherly, pace-wise, one of the best riders on the track, was your fastest qualifier here tonight. And I have to imagine that he is starting to sense that another race victory could be laying in front of him here if he can put it all together a little bit. Oh, that is Prin, I believe. Yeah, it was Prin down on the inside over that rise. Blind hill. Fortunately, Matherly must have had some spotters helping him out, because they very nicely pushed him to the outside line right there to not hit Nathan Prin, who is down on the backside. So Matherly has moved into 3rd place now. .5 seconds behind 2nd place man now, which is Johan Bordeaux. And Bordeaux keeping his eyes firmly fixated ahead of him onto Max Chwalik. Let's go back to the battle for 5th, because Seth Shirley and Braden Tharp are giving it again. These two have found each other a couple times already this moto, as we start to work towards the final 3rd of this one. Again, not teammates. Underground RC Phil Ski and Snowboard number 23 of Seth Shirley, and the Connect Visual number 53 of Braden Tharp. But aesthetically, it kind of does look like they at least share the same blood, if you will. Inside line for Tharp doesn't really amount to anything. Shirley from the outside, just able to control at that point. Outside to in, though, for Shirley as he kind of hops through the whoop section before the finish line jump. And for the time being, retains the gap to Tharp behind him. Let's peek up front a little bit here as Prin has Matherly just ahead of him. Chwalik has gone down. Bordeaux to the race lead. So Max Chwalik just laid it over in the corner here by the amateur starting line as they work their way towards the pro start. But that is the first time Chwalik has not led this race since the 2nd lap of the race. So he's been leading for the last 7 laps. And finally, as we crest the 20-minute mark of this moto, he has made a big enough mistake to really cough this thing up. So Johan Bordeaux takes the race lead here at Washougal as we move into the final 10 minutes plus 2 laps of this one. And an interesting little sequence and turn of events late in this moto, turning the tides. Lap traffic there. Jack Fowler just moving aside. So these are riders that are now going 1 lap behind the leader. And normally we see more lap traffic before this point in time of the race, but this lap time is so long. Those 2:20s range. Takes a long time to catch up to the back of the field once again, even if you're the fastest rider on the track. So Bordeaux has finally got there, and we'll see kind of how much that affects the race from here on out. Twilight trying to settle back into second place. Matherly from third. And now Shirley and Prin find each other side by side. To me, it seems a little bit like Prin doesn't have the comfort level as this race is going on that he had earlier on. I still think that he just hasn't quite fully learned this track yet, but still going to make a nice inside move to get around Shirley right there. And that was Twi'lek that was down. So Twi'lek loses a position. Matherly goes to second. Twi'lek back to third. Prin to fourth, with Shirley in fifth and Luke Sullivan right behind them in sixth. We got a four-rider train here battling it out for third place on the racetrack at Washougal. Inside for Prin, cuts over the lines. That's Matherly getting turned around as he comes back in front and takes down Seth Shirley. Well, I'll tell you what, folks. I know that that's not technically considered a track re-entry, but there is etiquette to this game when it comes to restarting from your downed position. And that is more or less considered an unsafe track re-entry when you get up sideways and spin it around in front of everybody like that. They usually require people to turn around in position, which you can do by backing up in place. I've seen it many a times where riders have been protested and penalized for doing just what Cade Matherly did right there. So that is not an ideal situation for the 38, but we'll have to see whether or not Shirley finds that to be a detrimental situation enough to protest that. Certainly not a good look there, though, for Matherly. So Twi'lek settles back into second place after Matherly goes down. Prin finds himself in third. Sullivan is now fourth, and Matherly back on the gas is in fifth, but he's going to try this inside line up horsepower hill on Luke Sullivan. He's going to pull almost even with the 11, but just not quite close enough to make something happen yet. That was Twi'lek off the track at the bottom of the hill, too. So Prin shoots back into second, and Twi'lek just got sideways again. Sullivan goes by. Matherly goes through as well. Max Twi'lek starting to fall apart a little bit here. Frustration boiling over for the Polish rider. What a nice move if he can get this done on Matherly, though. Almost alongside. Cuts back to the outside. We've seen this line work a couple times here tonight if he can get some run up this hill, and he ends up down hard. Rear end kicked out. He is down on the backside of this triple face. And Leitzel will be the last runner to go by as he is now up in the 8th spot. The Leitzel, reportedly someone saying he's riding with a broken finger or thumb or something along those lines after he crashed, I believe, this weekend in Canada. I don't know that for sure. But if he is actually doing that, it's pretty remarkable. This is not an easy game to play with all 10 of your fingers, much less 9 of them. Up to 8th, he's running 228. He's got a 231.4 out of Shirley, 234 flat out of Seth Carr, 229.9 Tharp, 232.5 Matherly, 229.6 out of Sullivan, and a 229 flat out of Bordeaux. As looks like Prin just picked it up in second place from a crash of some kind. So the 12 and the 11, respectively, going to go at it for second and third. Good little fight here between a couple guys that found some success in Supercross earlier this year, but couldn't quite amount it into a real run for a championship. That drag race up Horsepower Hill, those guys just working the machines through the rollers, getting that rear tire planted as Sullivan peeks inside, but not close enough to make that pass just yet. Prin's outside line just enough to edge back ahead. Look at this, though, for Sullivan. What a move. Look at how well he hooked that inside rut. And Sullivan moves into second place. Prin trying to go right back to work and fight back if he can. 18-second lead for Bordeaux out front, but these guys are going at it. Prin hard on the brakes to not get into the back of Sullivan. So Sullivan gets a little bit of breathing room because of that. Back to Matherly 4th, Seth Carr 5th. And then this crazy battle going on for 6 between Shirley, Tharp, and Leitzel. 6, 7, 8 on your screen right now. Woo, look at Shirley. Just got his nose in there on Braden Tharp and made the pass into 6th place. That was a little bit tight, but a nice move in the end to make it work and make the pass as well as they go up to the top of the hill. Shirley laying it over. Is that Prin? That is Prin. Nathan Prin was down. Oh, heartbreak as he drops from 3rd to 8th. And once again is losing points to championship leader Logan Leitzel after spending the entire moto actually gaining points on him. Again, championship-wise, it's all but a foregone conclusion that Leitzel's going to win this thing. So it's all about the fun to be had from week to week as these guys hit the roller section before that finish line jump and crossover. Yet again, Shirley scrubs to the inside. This might be the move on Tharp as he goes defensive to the inside in the next corner as well and makes the pass stick. Nice move by the 23 of Shirley, but Tharp fights right back and repasses him. Beautiful back and forth action, and for the most part, both riders playing it fair and clean to this point. Always love to see it. And the fight will continue. Seems to be our best battle on the track right now, so we're going to stick with it. Also got to factor in Logan Leitzel closing up from behind. Nathan Prince still has some pace. He is right there in the mix. Shirley might have a line up the inside of Horsepower Hill. They're bar to bar over the very top, nearly come together. And Shirley will hold down the position. Doesn't quite get the line through there very cleanly, so let's see if Tharp can turn this into something special here down the far inside here. Not many people using that line, and Tharp almost uses it to his advantage to get back by. The 23 of Shirley, the 53 of Tharp. They drop back down to this center section, and look at Leitzel. He is close right up onto the back of Tharp. Or what is going to be 6th position once he gets there. Wow, and then Tharp goes right back on the attack to get back to Shirley. Here we go up to the top of the track. Now Shirley looks like he is starting to pull ahead a little bit of the pressure from behind that was being applied by Tharp and Leitzel. Might actually be closing up now on Seth Carr ahead of him. This is kind of according into a bit of a 4-rider battle in what would be for 4th place as Carr goes off the track in 4th place. Shirley sees an opportunity. Let's see what he does. He's going to go to the inside here in the final turn. Try to get a good run through the whoops. Pretty good, actually. Might be able to make this pass. Side by side over the finish line jump. Outside Shirley, inside Carr. Inside now for Shirley, and he lays it over. Leitzel hits him from behind. Prin goes by. So just as that was building to a bit of a crescendo, things hit the fan a little bit once again. It's still pretty close between all these guys, and we got a battle for 2nd place starting to brew. Johan Bordeaux is clear at the front, and next time by, he's going to see the 2-lap board be displayed because time has now expired. But back to this battle once again for 2nd. Sullivan and Matherly up and over the top of Horsepower Hill. Matherly on the 38 trying to close that gap down. And really what all these guys are trying to do at this point is set themselves up well for a chance at the overall victory moving into Moto 2. Bordeaux is obviously going to have the best chance at that with his 1st place in this one. At least for the time being, but we could see things get even more wild as Sullivan goes down. I didn't quite see whether or not he clipped that lapped rider. It's tough to tell from this angle. He's going to pick it up just as Seth Carr gets there and rejoin this battle with Nathan Prynne and a host of other riders still hot on his heels. So a little unfortunate turn of events right there. As Sullivan was battling for second for so long, now it goes to Matherly. Carr up to third. Sullivan slips back to fourth. Prynne right behind him. And the battle continues. Lap traffic trying to get out of the way as the race leaders go on by. Prynne pushing the envelope, trying to get up to Sullivan. Oh, landed a little sideways and kicked left right there. That certainly has the makings of an instant fall-off crash when you land at that angle like that, because the suspension compresses at a weird angle. But a nice job by Prynne to just corral it together and not allow him to get too far off the track there. Oh, and just as I say that, Prynne tucks the front end at the bottom of the screen right there. So Leitzel goes by. McLaughlin, I think that went by, but that's a lapped rider in that case. Another spot gain for Leitzel as he's just been slowly picking him off this whole moto. But this is the man of the race and the man of the day so far, Johan Bordeaux. Really bit his time because there's a lot of guys giving him pressure. He even lost the position to Prynne a couple different times in a battle for second early on in this moto. And it seems like all these guys are just waiting for Max Chwalik to have that big mistake. He led 7 laps of this moto and now finds himself in 15th place as it has all come unglued for the 346 rider. But the 40 of Bordeaux once again finds himself out front in a bit of a familiar position. Whether it's motocross or supercross, this guy knows how to get it done. And he is on his way now, a lap and a half away from what I believe is his first moto win of the season. But again, it just feels like he's always up here trying to fight his way into a podium position. And now he's going to have a chance to stand atop the podium in 2022. All right, through the roller section one more time, and the white flag has now been prominently displayed by our track crew here in game. Johan Bordeaux on his way to a first moto victory here at Washougal. The battle for second, far from over though. Seth Carr has been inching up to Cade Matherly. This is a good run for Seth Carr, as now they work their way through the hoop section here. And also see the white flag. So once again, even though it looks like these two may be teammates or on some similar-ish program, they are not. And really what you're seeing here, if it's confusing why every other team and their mother is on those orange bikes that you're watching on the screen, it is because one of the community members, I forget who, but one of them created the 2023 version of the KTM and released it. And usually as it goes in MX Simulator, once one new-ish looking model that's different from the rest of them is released, everybody jumps on the bandwagon. Even if the Honda looks the same as before, the Yamaha or the Suzuki or whatever, everybody's going to be like, oh, new bike? And every team runs it in a hurry. So that's why you're seeing quite a bit of orange out there, as it looks like Seth Carr went down. And wouldn't you know it, after all is said and done, after a terrible start to his moto with many crashes, Logan Leitzel has made his way into a podium position here in moto number 1. And my, oh my, what do you have to do? If he is literally racing with a broken finger, what else are you going to do? The guy is racing through one of the most detrimental injuries that you can have when it comes to professional video game playing and finding his way onto the podium. But at least it does open up the door of opportunity for race victories to swing in a different direction. And tonight, at least in 250 Moto number 1, that is going to be this man right here. Panini Motorsports' number 40 of Johan Bordeaux, who, to his credit, never pushed beyond his limits despite losing positions to Nathan Prynne and not matching Max Chwalek's pace early on. Waited for the race to come to him. Even a little mistake here at the end will not deter him one bit, as he's going to come into the final corner, come out of this turn and see about 12 whoops and the finish line jump ahead of him. Checkered flag is waving. 250 Moto 1 at Washougal goes to Johan Bordeaux. So Matherly looks like he's going to hold on for this second position despite that late charge out of Seth Carr. Matherly was unfazed and Carr eventually went down. So the 38 ride and our fastest qualifier will finish this one up in second position. And Logan Leitzel is going to go from 27th all the way up to 3rd in a brilliant ride for the championship leader. Once again, will extend his championship lead as well as Seth Carr crosses in 4th, Braden Tharp in 5th, Luke Sullivan gets 6th, and Nathan Prynne will bring it home in 7th. So now, actually, with Prynne finishing 7th and Leitzel finishing 3rd, the championship lead has extended to, I believe, 101 points as Jackson crosses in 8th, Seth Shirley in 9th, and Tanner Rogers will round out the top 10. Maxime Vanderbeek going to bring it home in 11th. Ethan Gersh should get 12th here. Max Chwalek, well, it could have been worse. He was 15th at one point. But, man, oh, man, he's got to figure something out here after leading so many laps of this race, and he's going to go down again. So Bodie Parker's actually going to go by for 13th place, and Chwalek's going to try to pick it up. It almost seems like Chwalek is not trying in the second half of the race in the same manner in which he puts in the effort in the first half, and that seems to be his biggest detriment. Trent Adams bringing it to the line in 15th, Caden Speck in 16th, Jack Gatlin 17th, and Doniaz Kura here in 18th, Noah McLaughlin 19th, and Millie Soderblom in 20th. Doesn't look like there's any pressure from behind out of Alex Kerr, so we'll just wait for Soderblom to bring this thing all the way home. And we will have 250 Moto number 1 in the books. Got to wait for a few guys behind him to cross the line. Then we'll have the official results after penalties are applied. So Soderblom over the line in 20th, picks up that final point. Alex Kerr, Nico Marchini, Sonny Spicer, Tyler Blowers, Garrett Hollenbeck, Christopher McPherson Jr., Hayden Stevenson, Jared Gaskew, Daniel Mills, Dylan Love, Max Spokes, Evan Holt, Nathan McLaughlin, Will Clark, Jet Holyhead, Jack Fowler, Austin Irwin, Jake Melton, Ryan Swanson, and Adrian Wilson all did not score points in this moto. So let's take a look at what happens once those penalties are applied. As Soderblom confirmed as 20th. Looks like Jack Gatlin leapfrogged Caden Speck for 16th. And everything else stayed the exact same. So Bordeaux, the big winner here in 250 Moto number 1, as his Panini Motorsports machine looks nice and fresh here on the broadcast for you folks, and also setting himself up fantastic for the overall victory here tonight. All right, so that is 250 Moto number 1 done and dusted. 450 Moto number 1 will be coming up next. And this is where more or less the real story lies in terms of a championship perspective. We have really seen this, to this point, both the 250 and 450 classes have really more or less just dominance between Payson Johnson and Logan Leitzel. Leitzel's won all 7 of the overall victories this year. He hasn't won every moto, as we just saw as well right there. Did not win that moto either, but he's won all 7 overalls in the 250 class. And Johnson has won 5 of the first 7 overalls in the 450 class. So it's been quite dominance for both riders in each class. But a bit of a chink in the armor, as they say, for Johnson last week at Spring Creek, when he did not put 2 good motos together. Alexis Leclerc did, however, have a fantastic day at the races, and it went from a 53-point deficit to a 37-point deficit. So 16 points gained on the day for Leclerc a week ago at Spring Creek. And if he can replicate that again here tonight, boy, do we have a very different championship picture going down to the final 4 rounds. And a reminder, there's actually a break after tonight's action. So the final 4 rounds of the championship will kick off on August 10th, and we'll be racing at Budds Creek on August 17th, Ironman on August 24th, and then the last day of August will also be the last round of the 2022 AMA Esport Motocross Championship as we wrap it up at Fox Raceway at Pala in California. To get all 12 rounds in, we are at round 8 right now, though, and that is where the storyline lies. Can Payson Johnson rebound this week, or will Alexis Leclerc continue to just chip away at that points lead? And who knows? Might have ourselves quite an interesting championship picture down the stretch here. Going to be fun to watch. Alrighty, folks, let's get back in the server. We'll give you guys a lineup check and a rundown through the field of who goes to the gate here in 450 Moto number 1, so you guys are well aware who it is that you'd like to cheer for out on the racetrack. Get loaded in here in just a moment. And then we'll be off and racing for 450 Moto number 2. Yeah, it takes forever to get this game to load sometimes. So many skins and decals and other things to load. And it looks like we're finally about to get it. There we go. Get back in the server. Looks like the chat is having a good, rousing discussion about Payson Johnson versus Alexis Leclerc. Kawan Fontes is stoked on Timmy Briscoe. Wants his guy to crush it. Quentin Lee says if Haley's racing, maybe he could be a factor. All right. Give you guys a rundown of who's in this moto. Pablo Vial, Trevor Burns, Tyler Lang, Caleb Hall, Tyler Shields, Chris Post, Payson Johnson, Aaron Rockefeller, Zach Fisher, Jaden Wilson, Timmy Briscoe, Caden Gross, Jack Mark, Colby Eaglin, Blake O'Brien, Reno Brennan, Austin Bear, Cooper Hunt, Trevor Spencer, Adam Holm, Hollywood Wascom, Kyle Carpenter, Dakota French, Rogan McIntosh, Jeremy Siebel, Jack Haley, Dylan Adams, Jet Wisdom, Brendan Castellaneta, Robert Wilson, Ryan Anderson, Jeff Cooper, Jacob Hubbard, Chase Blakely, Anthony Pachone, Finn Collins, Bryce Whelan, and Ashton Rakowski. Where is Leclerc? Must have skipped over him. There he is. One of the riders down in that melee, it looked like. So went right over the top of Leclerc. That's all good, though. Alrighty, here we go. 450 motor number 1. Let's rack 'em, stack 'em, and get ready to drop the gate. Jacob Hubbard rocking the two-stroke. Looks like he was riding a 125 even. I'm surprised. Normally they don't let the 125 be homologated in this series. All right. Bikes are down. Revs are coming up. Who are we going to take a look at here on the start? Pachone, Collins, Hunt, Holm, O'Brien, Johnson up the inside. Here we go. 450 Moto 1 time at Washougal. Pretty good jump for Johnson. He might control it to the inside. And he will. Payson Johnson picks up our Studio 8 Hole Shot Award. That is going to be dangerous for the rest of the field. I did not see the 7 of Leclerc. I think he may have gotten pinched going into the first corner. 45 of Bryce Whelan. He also has got a good start here. Is through the front door over the top of the hill. Goes, I believe, one of the stance riders it must have been, as Aaron Rockefeller now settles into third place. Austin Bear, Chase Blakely, Tyler Lang off to some good starts. J.R. Reyes, he's got a good one up here as well. Blake O'Brien, Jeff Cooper. But Johnson leads them down out of the back section on the first lap of the race. Bryce Whelan trying to stick with Johnson early on, but this pace is going to be alarming. We know Johnson can put down some serious hot laps, and he will certainly want to try to put as much distance between himself and the rest of the field as he can early in this one, as to not allow Leclerc or anybody else to give an opportunity at this point to close up. He seems fired up and annoyed, really, at what happened last week at Spring Creek, and can't say I don't blame him, because when you've been cruising throughout the season, to have such a setback like he did at Spring Creek, sure, he just wants to put that behind him, go right back into the control that he had of the series before that point, and make it easy. Hopping through the rollers at the end of lap number 1. It's going to be Johnson over the line from Bryce Whelan in second. Lang has already moved into third place. And I thought I saw Leclerc at the tail end of that field coming in. Remember, Lang, he is 47 points down of Johnson, so still keeping it within that one race distance, one full day of racing distance of Johnson after the week that the 51 machine had last week. But Lang also has not won a moto yet this year, nor an overall, of course, in what has been... It's hard to say it's been an unsuccessful title defense, because he's been really solid. He's been on the podium so many times, ran up front quite a bit, but just has not really clicked into that other gear to beat Payson or Leclerc more or less at their own game. So Lang, Blakely, and O'Brien inside of the top 5 at the opening of this one. Got Austin Bear, Chris Post, J.R. Reyes, and then indeed Leclerc was in that mix. He is now just in front of the 14 of Matthias Janis and the 18 of Jeremy Siebold as they crest over the top of Horsepower Hill. Leclerc going to that outside line, trying to get the pass done on J.R. Reyes. Looks like he will do that by doing the triple-double through that section. Closes up on the 96 of Chris Post. Cut to that far inside line, but just can't quite make it work. And the 70 of Austin Bear as Leclerc cuts underneath and launches through the trees. Great perspective on the opening lap, trying to deal with all the chaos as he gets into trying to remember who that was that he was battling with right there, as all these guys are going by. And Leclerc is going to get up now side by side with Colby Eagland. The 96, that's right, Chris Post. We just got into the backup, so that is going to set Leclerc back a little bit here. Clean sailing for Johnson. And the gap is certainly already opening up here at the front of the field. You cannot really even hear anybody else right behind Johnson at this point. I mean, just look at that. Just the gap as he crosses at the end of lap number 2. And Bryce Whelan, for those that are new to this series, is no slouch behind Payson Johnson. In the 2022 250E Supercross champion in MX Simulator. Many times has hole shot in lead races and battled for the win. And he knows how to run early sprint laps as well. He is actually, that's probably one of his strong suits. Right now, he is just getting worked. Payson Johnson is doing a moto and a half out front already. And we have not even hit 5 minutes of 450 motor number 1. All right, there's a change for position. Matthias Janis just got around Austin Bear for 6th. So the 14 moves forward. The 70 slides back a position. Trevor Burns trying to close up from behind there on the 28 machine. That was your second fastest qualifier here tonight. He's running a really mismatched program here tonight. He's got the 1 on his back, which I believe might be the Carter's gear. Yeah, Braden, or no, Gorin. Sorry, Linus Gorin's gear. And the 13 of Cooper Hunt's 450 bike for Braxton Worldwide. And then, yeah, it's an interesting setup that the 28 machine of Trevor Burns has elected to run here tonight. He's certainly not trying to look good for the stream, that's for sure. Okay, all right. The update from chat out of Logan Leitzel is that he does not actually have a broken finger. It's just very sore, so thank you for that. And says his girlfriend was watching and informed him of that news. Again, I just got that news from the chat room as Burnsy goes down. Not a fall-off crash, though, so a couple guys going to go by, but only a couple positions lost. But Leitzel does say that he is actually racing in a different country, which I assume is Canada, because he's racing up there for the CMX National Championship. And not in his familiar setup, which is maybe why he's a little bit off tonight. But gosh, even to have a sore hand, sore finger, whatever it is, and be in a different country trying to race and compete at the highest level in this game, to come from 27th to 3rd, boy, I wish I could have done that once in my career. That would have been real nice. Back to our race leader, though. On to lap number 4. Payson Johnson has stretched out his race lead over 6 seconds. And the gap continues to grow. Bryce Whalen has just not thus far been able to match the pace that Johnson is laying down out front. It's a solid effort. But man, oh man, it's just that gap is opening and opening and opening. Got a little battle here that's kind of been lurking around for 4th place. Blake O'Brien has been right on the heels of Chase Blakely, local boy Chase Blakely, who is from Oregon. I forget where in Oregon. I think it's like middle of Oregon, somewhere around Salem, if I remember correctly. But obviously this is by far his closest hometown race that he has to the national schedule. There's obviously some races in California, but even Hangtown, which is Northern California, is still more or less Central California if you look at California on the map, because there's still another 5-6 hours of driving north to leave Sacramento and get out of California and into Oregon. It's a big state. So for Blakely, definitely Washougal is the closest. And every single year it does seem like this is more or less that home race for him. Hence why we featured him on the How to Watch card before tonight's racing. If you follow us on our Instagram or our Facebook, you saw Blakely's lovely machine. But man, he's been kind of worked here a little bit by Blake O'Brien. The 167 Privateer Life ride out here is giving it all to the 21 BPC machine. And a nice little intense battle for 4th, and Blakely finally makes a big enough mistake. Has quite the off right there as he goes down, coming up to the road step up into the back. Leclerc is going to sneak by. Good on Blakely to hammer the brakes there when he started kind of weaving back across the track and not come back on in front of Leclerc, because that would have been protestable depending on how bad the track reentry was if the contact was made. But for Leclerc, he has now made it into 6th position as he continues to try to just clamp down on riders ahead of him and close those gaps up as much as possible. Want to get a lap time check here as we are approaching the 10-minute mark, so lap times are going to start being real solid. Back-to-back 2:22.3s out of Leclerc by the look of it. Oh, no, 2:21.5. Excuse me. Timing and scoring just took a moment to update there. So 2:21.5 out of Leclerc. Got a 2:23.7 out of Janis. A 2:24.8 out of O'Brien. 222.6 out of Lang, 220.7 out of Whelan, and last time by a 219.7 out of Johnson. 219.2 is his best. So fastest rider on the track and current holder of the fastest lap of the race, Payson Johnson, starting to look like he is in a different world on this racetrack. And boy, oh boy, this is something special. I'm going to stick on board with him here because I want to just watch his lap, see kind of where he's maybe picking some time up here and there. Because it's certainly extending by bundles at this point. It's not even just a little bit that he's out front. Now out over 7 seconds. We're getting to the point where he could crash and still maintain the race lead, which is obviously the ideal scenario that you want if you're leading a race. But just putting it down out front. Johnson lays it over, the big step up into the back. Hits that inside rut with pure authority, making it look way too easy. Lap traffic trying to get out of the way. 161 machine doing a nice job to just skirt to the left of the track and not be a hindrance at all to our race leader Johnson. As of course the first lap rider that we've hit. It's going to be a while before he hits the next one. He's got maybe 6 corners between himself and the next lap rider. So here he is coming down the line. I'm curious to see what this lap time is, as he is charging, and a 2:18.4 resets fastest lap of the race. Has this thing now over 10 seconds ahead of Whelan. Incredible pace out front by Payson Johnson is being absolutely laid down at this point in time. As we slip back to Leclerc, who is working on closing up to his teammate Matthias Janis right now. That looks like at this point in time it's a bit of a slow grind for him, but that is going to help a ton. Janis just laid it down in the corner before the finish line jump. And O'Brien might also make the pass. He will. And that's just one position because the other rider on the screen right there is a lap down. Whoa. Lap rider trying to play havoc a little bit there for O'Brien. At this point, is still having a really good race right now inside the top 5. Now ahead of Janis. Got Blakely in 7th. Colby Eagland in 8th. Hunt back here in 9th. And Austin Bear rounding out the top 10 with Jeremy Seabolt 11th. Rogan McIntosh in 12th. Pablo Vial in 13th. Trevor Burns in 14th. Got Jack Haley back here in P15, the number 2 Jack Daniels Racing rider. Has been up and down this year, and now he is down and off the bike. As through goes the 117 of Dakota French into that 15th position. Haley now to 17th. It's Chris Post goes to 16th. You got Timmy Briscoe in 18th. Brendan Castellaneta in 19th. And Reno Brennan rounding out the top 20, the final points paying position there to the 422 rider. But Johnson is just blistering it at the front of the field, and I'm just going to go on board with him here again as we come to the line because I want to see how much he's been able to back up that 2:18.4, which is a remarkable lap. And I got to give real credit to Bryce Whelan because he has still been the second fastest rider on the track in the opening stanza of this one, but just cannot quite keep pace with what Johnson's putting down to the tune of a few seconds a lap as Johnson hops through the rollers here and backs it up with the 2:19.5, which is still, I believe, he's the only guy in the 2:19s at all. So Whelan's going to come in this time. He's got a pretty good lap put together here. Goes to 2:20.8, so only lost about a second right there. But again, Johnson's just in a different realm right now of speed as Lang's going to check in here as he comes through in 3rd place. And he will put down a 2:22.4 right now, but it's going to update in just a moment, I believe. No, it is a 2:22.4. And then Leclerc at a 2:23.1 for his most recent lap. Goes to a 2:22.1. So again, Johnson's the only guy right now dipping his toes into the 2:19s, and he's doing it consecutively with a 2:18 also in the mix. Remarkable how fast he's going around this track, but no one can quite match that pace. Let's go back here a little bit. We got the 24 of Eagland, the 21 of Blakely, and the 14 of Janis all going together a little bit here. As that O'Brien, it is. Blake O'Brien just laid it down. So Cooper Hunt goes through. But this is a nice fight right here. Matthias Janis has pushed up to Blakely. It looks like both of them are kind of pushing up to Eagland in a couple regards, but maybe Eagland stretched it back out now that these two have linked up for a battle. So this is right here, I believe, a battle for 6th position. Starting to go off as Blakely and Janis almost come to blows. Janis over the top of him. What a pass, and it is into that 6th place there for Matthias Janis. So now he is going to put his head down and try to catch up to Colby Eagland ahead of him. We have not seen Eagland that much outdoors this year, at least not towards the front of the field, that's for sure. Rider who at one point was a borderline Supercross title threat indoors this year for the Moto Option Supercross Championship. Really just has not been able to find the same success outdoors. I guess that's kind of been his MO in his sim career, though. Supercross, 2-time Supercross champion in 250 class. And now Janis has indeed caught up to him. They're working up to some more lapped riders, but the battle for 5th place is now on, with Eagland and Janis set to go at it. Ooh, lead gap has dwindled down significantly. 3.2 seconds suddenly. Johnson must have had a fall-off crash somewhere because that gap, like I said, has come down quite a bit. Lang says 18 seconds, but I want to see if he passes timing and scoring here a little bit. Yeah, down to 15. Does it get any lower? Does he gain some more time because of some mistakes? Oh, just as I say that, it goes to 14 and a half, and then he spins it around. That will allow Leclerc to close that gap back down. Oh, and just as Whelan got to our race leader, he is going to go down in 2nd place. And Johnson goes right back to having pretty much the same lead that he did have before, so nothing really doing in the end there. Back to the battle for 5th between Eagland on the 24 and Janis on the 14. Looks like this is about to turn into a good little battle here as these two set to square off against each other. Look at that. Janis is right around the outside into the 2nd corner complex. Gonna make the pass. Almost clips his handlebar on the overhang right there coming up the uphill, but he is going to move into 5th place. Right now, the 14 of Matthias Janis kind of on the move right here. Got 20 seconds up to Leclerc ahead of him, so that's looking like a little bit of a bleak situation. But right now, he's putting some time on himself to Colby Eagland behind him, and that is really all you can do. Just keep your eyes focused forward, try to put your laps in, hit your marks, and not worry about who's behind you or what they're doing. Oh, that's not going to help, though. Big mistake, and Eagland down the inside is going to repass him into 5th place. So the positions swap again, and the battle continues as Janis is going to go by. Now Eagland's the one to make the mistake. So it just keeps changing hands between Janis and Eagland. Who's going to make the bigger mistake between the two of them? As we slip back to Rogan McIntosh in a frantic battle here with Chase Blakely. Big whip laid over for the 60 of Rogan McIntosh right in front of Chase Blakely. And then dualies over the big step up in the back. Love to see it. Rogan McIntosh really tossing it out for the crowd there. Sometimes I feel like Rogan knows he's on the stream. It's like intuition that he knows we're watching, and then he tosses a big saucer as he gets sideways and takes Blakely down. Blakely has not fallen off the bike yet, but a couple riders are going to go by. Cooper Hunt and Trevor Burns, the two that make it through. Blakely gets right back on to Cooper Hunt in front of him on the 13. Blake O'Brien's also in the mix. 137 of Pablo Vial, who, by the way, Vial 4th in the championship entering tonight. Really good stuff out of the Frenchman. This is, we're starting to get into the territory here a little bit where this is going to be the most successful season for a Frenchman not named Alexis Leclerc in the 450 class that I can remember. It has certainly been a little bit of time since we've seen some fellow Frenchmen really running up front. Of course, there's the legendary riders like Logan DePatie and Corentin Dubois, who had many, many successful years racing in EU and NA series in MX Sim, but Vial, another one of those faces that have really shown up this year and been quite a factor. And you also have to consider, if there is an MX Simulator of Nations this year, which we've not had it for the last couple of years, but if there is this time around, Team France pretty darn good looking. You got Leclerc, of course. Pablo Vial has been really strong. You could pick him and Leclerc for your 450 guys and then put Print on a 250, or maybe you consider Johan Bordeaux riding a 450 or 250 between those guys. Definitely going to be interesting to watch if we have one of those this year. And of course, Team USA. I mean, you have to put Payson Johnson on the team. You have to put Logan Leitzel on the team. And then behind that, I mean, who else? A couple names you could definitely throw in the hat as some interesting ones. T. Lang, definitely in the mix. Braden Carter, the Supercross champ. Always fun to theorize how things would go. Like I said, it's been a couple of years since we've had an MX Sim of Nations, so at this point in time, not quite looking for it. So it sounds like Johnson went down again, and he just had a big save right there. Big swap on landing. So a couple mistakes here and there, a crash or two, and he crashes again. He's going to be right in the mix for this battle, but the teammates of Bryce Whelan and Tyler Lang instead are set to battle it out for the second position. Lang has just been inching closer and closer to Whelan this entire moto, and it sounds like Whelan just made yet another big mistake, which has pushed him back into Lang's clutches, and a battle for second is on. And behind them, not too far back at this point, is Alexis Leclerc, so you also have to factor Leclerc into this one a little bit, and whether or not he can make things interesting, as Lang is going to try to put the hammer down and close up on his teammate Whelan. Yeah, 14.6 seconds. Another fall-off crash for Johnson out front would certainly make things interesting as the rider goes down right in front of these guys. Oh, Lang down! That was a rough line right there, as he clips the hay bale on the inside off the top of the hill right there. Woo, rider's having to just go over him. Leclerc almost lands on him, and Lang picks himself right up in a battle as, woo! Look at Leclerc launching over Lang to pass into third place. What a beautiful pass by the Frenchman, but he's going to blow the corner at the bottom of the hill, and Lang is going to say thank you very much. But then Leclerc fights back, and lap traffic comes into play. This is right back to what we saw out of these two last year when they fought for the 2021 championship. Instead, they're fighting for third on the racetrack right here, and more or less they're fighting for second place in this title hunt, because Johnson has got this thing real well stretched out, but there's only 10 points between these two. They would be back-to-back years of having a tremendous title fight between the both of them if Johnson was not here, but Johnson is certainly making them look a little bit silly with the way that he has been able to dominate some of these races this year. It's not over yet, though. It's still making those mistakes. And at least for these guys, it's certainly not over. Lang is still right on Leclerc, who is making quite a bit of mistakes right here. Pretty rare to see Leclerc make that many bobbles in successive corners. Lang kind of rattling the Frenchman here a little bit. Here we come into the rollers before the finish line jump, and Lang is down again. Hard crash off the right-hand side of your screen, left-hand side of the track as the 54 of Aaron Rockefeller flips out. And Lang is going to remount still in fourth, but has lost some ground to Leclerc, Whelan as well. And back to our leader, Johnson, whose lead is at 13.7 seconds, and he just had that crash last time by. Up Horsepower Hill they go once more. Johnson scrubs and just gets right on that rear tire, plants that power. Horsepower Hill is one of the more satisfying uphills in motocross, really, but in MX Simulator specifically, because you get that scrub, you just get it nice and clean and tidy at the bottom of the hill. You just lay it over. It feels like you're just dragging peg off the top there. and carry that speed all the way through the rollers right after that, land in a good pocket and just wheelie through the rollers. Then one more pocket to just kind of bounce over the top of the hill. It's a fun uphill for sure. Right now, Johnson making it look pretty simple out front as he's settled back into a nice pace. Whelan's still second, and Leclerc is inching up in third. About 4.5, 5 seconds behind Bryce Whelan, just in front of him. Nothing real crazy happening between these guys. Gap coming down though, so Leclerc certainly is feeling a little bit of flow right now, but they're still both 27.8 seconds behind Johnson, who is out front at 25.5 minutes and going to check in with the race lead again. It's going to be pretty close actually for them clipping time. I think we're at 4 to go right now though. I think Johnson's going to get the go through with the green flag still waving next time by, but we're going to be about 28.5 minutes or 28 minutes even. So unless Johnson runs the 2 best qualifying laps he's put in all night long right here, we should be getting the 2-lap board with maybe about 15 seconds on the after the time expires, I should say. Sorry for tripping over my own words right there. Just couldn't think straight for a second. Leclerc is just inching forward, trying to get into the second position on Bryce Whelan. Phew! Rogan McIntosh, and is that Blake O'Brien? It is. Rogan McIntosh, Blake O'Brien laid it over on the big road gap step up. All these guys on your screen right here. I see Pablo Vial, Chase Blakely, just behind this little battle here between O'Brien and McIntosh. It's a good little fight right here. There's some guys trying to make some passes and move forward late in this moto. Make amends either from a bad start or early mistakes that push them back here. Again, like if you're Pablo Vial, you're 4th in the championship, and you come into this one, you're probably not too stoked with your current positioning, but he has had to work his way up from a position further down the order, at least not quite back of the field. I don't think he was beyond 20th early in this one, but is slowly knocking on the door of guys ahead of him. And McIntosh just up the road is going to be his next target by the looks of it. Kind of hop through the bumps there. And up the hill they go. Little crossover from Vial on the 137. He is closed up on O'Brien. It looks like he might be the next one trying to make the pounce of opportunity here. O'Brien had been lurking behind McIntosh for some time as Hubbard's going to flip in front of these guys. Oh, and then Vial clips the hay bale and goes over the bars. So big off. Blakely goes by. Vial is going to pick it up as Hubbard gets there, but Blakely went by. O'Brien went by. He was working on McIntosh. Got Jack Haley off the front of this group. So it kind of exploded apart there just a little bit, as Leclerc is still hunting Bryce Whelan, but has not quite gotten there. And yeah, judging by timing and scoring and where these guys are, I think 2-lap board is going to be displayed next time by, which is good news for the shortness of the race and everybody that is hoping that this race is over soon. But I think if you're Leclerc right now, you're hoping there's one extra lap available for Johnson to maybe mess things up. Even if at this point, Johnson, he's only going to lose a couple points if Leclerc goes to the lead and Johnson finishes second, but that is so important for Leclerc to try to just chip away at some of those points if he can. Battle for second is a-coming, though. Leclerc has been inching closer and closer to Whelan in the latter stages of this race. And it seems like we're about to kind of hit that tipping point just a little bit. Something is going to happen between the two of these guys, whether it's Leclerc going down or Whelan making a mistake or Leclerc just straight up catching him and passing him. Something's going to happen. So what will it be? As time is about to expire. And time has expired. Johnson in the end looks like he ended up about 5 corners away from taking the flag to get an extra lap. So 2-lap board going to be displayed next time by, like I said. Whoop. It's like Whelan's kind of responded to that pressure from Leclerc, because the gap at least is stagnated. I don't think Leclerc is any closer than he was for sure. Yeah, 1.7 seconds seems to be the gap right now. Nice little low line there on the tabletop, and Leclerc is certainly just trying to close that gap up just little by little. Just chip away. Do what you can to make something happen. Credit to Whelan's corner, though, here, because he has just been pretty solid throughout this entire race in second place, running some of the best laps of the moto. And again, you just have to tip your cap to Payson Johnson, because if you're Whelan, not much more else you could do better in terms of racecraft and pace. I guess he could clean up a couple crashes. I think he fell off the bike twice in this one. But Johnson's just been so solid out front. So Whelan's just going to try to hold on for this second position, which right now he has definitely responded to that pressure from Leclerc and kind of inched it back away little bit by little. Woo! Rear end kicks out and then sliding through the corner. Hopping through there. And that's a couple mistakes that are going to hurt him, because now Leclerc is like a freaking shark in the water with Leclerc. Every single time he gets close enough, it is like just turn it up another 5-10% for the 7, because he knows how to just wick that dial up. And now Whelan has the same mistake that we've seen Lang, Vial, and many others have right there, as he just clips that inside hay bale. So many guys trying to go that triple double through the corner. It's tough to get, though. It is a really awkward angle to get right, and Whelan coughs up second place just like that. So Leclerc into P2. Wait a minute. Payson Johnson is not that far ahead of Leclerc anymore. Unfortunately, Leclerc just laid it down out of that corner, so what would have been about a 7-second gap is stretched back out to 12. But hold on to your hats here, folks, a little bit. Johnson's got to watch out here down the stretch. Another fall-off crash, and suddenly Leclerc is going to be right there. So Johnson, you can see he's looking like he's tiptoeing his way down these hills a little bit more, trying to be softer through the braking bumps. Because, man, oh man, if you push the pace here, cause a fall-off crash, it is not going to be good. Through the roller section up to the finish line jump, and the white flag is now waving. Payson Johnson has one more lap around Washougal to win this first 450 moto, but it is not over yet. And Alexis Leclerc is going to do everything in his power to get this thing close. Down to 10.3 seconds. Both of them had big mistakes. Both of them had little crashes. Not a full fall-off crash for Leclerc, but he will kick himself just a little bit that if he could have cleaned that up here down the stretch, a couple small mistakes that he ended up having might have in the end cost him an overall win, or a moto win here, I should say, in this first moto. So Johnson just inching his way up Horsepower Hill on the final lap of the race. Smooth and steady on this last lap here, just not wanting to throw it away. Can't say I've ever actually been in a position where I'm leading on the last lap and throw it away. I've only ever been in the lead on the last lap of one moto in my entire life in this game. And fortunately was able to stamp it off for the race victory. But I do know how frustrating it is on the last lap to crash while in the lead. So I did do that and watched my 23-second lead on Alexis Leclerc go down to 13 seconds. And suddenly, sweating bullets. But Johnson, I think he's been in this position too many times to know. And at this point is now stretched out to 17 seconds here on the final lap, so he can kind of wick it back into cruise control a little bit. Not worry too much about it. Have some fun. Maybe flick it out for the crowd on the sky shot here. Yeah, lays it over a little bit. Not too big, but having some fun with it. And here we go, folks. Up and over the tabletop. Down to the home stretch of this one. 3 turns to go. And the final sequence of corners here. Mason Johnson coming to the line here. Final turn. And Johnson's going to bring it home to win 450 Moto number 1 at Washougal. Johnson gets it done. We'll take a look back to second place as Alexis Leclerc is going to bring it on down through the final roller section in second. And he should be good to go here with that second place position. So he'll lose 3 points to Johnson, but limited the damage very well after some early race problems. Bryce Wheelan's going to come down to finish this one in third. Colby Eagland, solid ride for the 24 here in fourth place. And Cooper Hunt looking like he is going to round out the top 5. Yeah, Tyler Lang slipped back here a little ways. Tyler Lang, rough last stretch of the moto. As I apologize, folks, I have my daughter on my lap right now, so she's playing with the microphone a little bit, but that's okay. She's getting ready for bed, so we're just having a nice little family moment. She hangs out here long enough. We'll get her on the broadcast. We got to wrap up this moto here down the stretch. Holly, do you want to call the action? And you say Tyler Lang is going to finish this one up in 6th place? Dead silence. Lang 6th, Trevor Burns in 7th. Matthias Janis. Oh, she's stoked about Matthias Janis finishing up this one in 7th. She finds another one of my microphones. Jack Haley will cross the line in 8th. Or 9th, I should say. Matthias Janis was actually in 8th there. Trevor Burns was 7th. So we missed him. Rogan McIntosh is going to be 11th here as Vial crosses the line 10th. Brendan Castellaneta. Oh, no, sorry. Burns or McIntosh goes down. So it's going to be Castellaneta who comes up and is just going to get 11th at the line over Adam Holm. Adam Holm in 12th. Rogan McIntosh 13th. Blake O'Brien 14th. 15th for Reno Brennan. And unless things change down the flag here, looks like those guys will stay in those positions. Yes, it will stay that way. So Austin Bear and Chase Blakely are going at it here. Is Blakely a lap down? What the heck happened to Chase Blakely? Or is timing and scoring glitching out a little bit here? Yeah, wow, Blakely 29th after running 4th early on in this moto. So Bear ends up 16th. Dakota French will get 17th. Jeff Cooper 18th. And Timmy Briscoe 19th as Chris Post was the first man a lap down. And 20th. Waiting for those cuts to come in. One rider still to cross the line. And he is going to bring it home. Who is that one rider? Let's take a look back through the field, see who is sitting. It is Chase Morales having a seat here in the final corner. Let's see if he gets kicked. Nope. So Chase Morales is going to bring it home there in, looks like 32nd as we wait for those penalties to be applied. Chris Post a lap down. Should be 20th, no problem, though. So, yeah, looks like Timmy Briscoe got Jeff Cooper on cuts. Got Reno Brennan getting Blake O'Brien for 14th on cuts as well. Matthias Janis getting past Trevor Burns for 7th. And the rest stays the same. Johnson, your Moto 1 winner. Oh, like I said, it's a family affair here at 2022 AMA Esport Motocross Championship. So we'll get on screen here. It's Kellen Brower and Holly Brower, my daughter. So we're just hanging out in the studio between motos. Holly, got anything to say to the fine people at home? Yeah, that's Dada on the screen. You're looking at us over there. But the fine people are up here. Can you wave to them? Say hi, folks. Hello. We're having a lovely night of racing here. Round 8 of the 2022 AMA Esport Motocross Championship from Washougal. Yeah, you see yourself there on the screen? As the second motos are coming up in just a moment. 250 moto number 2 going to load into the gate. We just saw Payson Johnson win 450 moto number 1. We saw Johan Bordeaux win 250 moto number 1. And we're going to see what ends up happening in moto number 2 for these guys. Holly, would you like to say so long, farewell? I bid you adieu. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Say night-night. She's like, no, I want to keep sitting here. That's okay. It's bath time. Bye-bye. Alrighty, folks. Let's get back in the studio. Or back in the game, I should say. Always great to have Holly join the booth, though, and offer her thoughts on the racing. But as mentioned, it is 250 moto number 2 coming up next. And let's give you guys a quick rundown of what happened in that first 250 motos to refresh your memory in case you either were not here or you don't remember what happened in 250 moto number 1. Like I said, Johan Bordeaux picking up the win. So sitting in the perfect position to try to stop wow. Okay. Sitting in the perfect position to try to stop the dominance that we've seen out of Logan Leitzel. But Leitzel was third in that first moto. So Johan Bordeaux won the first moto. Cade Matherly was second. Logan Leitzel was third. Seth Carr was fourth. Braden Tharp was fifth. Luke Sullivan sixth. Nathan Prince seventh. Frank Jackson in eighth. Seth Shirley in ninth. And Tanner Rogers rounded out the top 10. Like I said, though, it is... got to go back to there and change this to 250 moto number 2 as we get loaded back into the server here in just a moment. Give you guys the rest of the rundown. Maxime Vanderbeek, Ethan Gerst, Bodie Parker, Max Chwalik, Trent Adams, Jack Gatlin, Caden Speck, Andonias Kura, Noah McLaughlin, and Millie Soderblom were the runners that scored points in moto number 1 beyond the top 10 finishers. Alex Kerr, Nico Marchini, Garrett Hollenbeck, Tyler Blowers, Sonny Spicer, Christopher McPherson Jr., Hayden Stevenson, Jarrett Gaskew, Daniel Mills, Dylan Love, Max Spokes, Evan Holt, Nathan McLaughlin, Will Clark, Jet Holyhead, Jack Fowler, Austin Irwin, Jake Melton, Ryan Swanson, and Adrian Wilson rounded out the 40 runners that we had go to the line in 250 moto number 1. So what will happen in 250 moto number 2? Well, that is why we are live here on Start Your Systems in Esports on Twitch and ESTV. That is to find out what happens with these guys in 250 moto number 2. The biggest thing that hangs in the balance right now is Logan Leitzel's perfect season. And I don't mean in order of how many motos he has won, which I believe is now out to 8 of the first 14 motos of the year. No. 9 of the first 14 motos of the year Logan Leitzel has won. However, he has won every single overall to this point, which is all 7 of the first 7 rounds of the championship. Logan Leitzel has left as the highest points scorer on the day. Can he do it again? Well, he's got to go 3-1 or 3-2 and hope some chaos happens. But it certainly hangs in the balance. He checked in here with us moments earlier in the 450 moto and said that he had crashed on the weekend in Canada at the Real Life Pro Motocross Racing in Canada, injured his finger, but it is not broken critically, but he is still in a little bit of discomfort and pain, and going to try to batten down the hatches and get it done here in moto number 2 if possible. So here we go. Going to have 30 minutes on the clock. That 30-minute plus 2-lap race once again. The 30-second board is currently up, but it is about to go sideways. Runners are on the gate and ready to go. Well, Seth Carr had a good start in the first one, so we're going to stick with him here as 250 moto number 2 Revs are up and the gate is down. We have a little bit of server lag going on right there. Not sure what happened, but we are underway. Seth Carr is going to lead him into the first corner once again. Up the inside. 2 for 2. Seth Carr rips the Studio 8 whole shot award. Ethan Gurst going to push him wide into that second corner and try to take the lead. They're going to go bar to bar up Horsepower Hill with Chwalik on the 346. He's got a good start. Matherly is up front. Everybody jockeying for position. I do not see Logan Leitzel once again, but we'll see where he settles in. It is Gurst from Carr at the top of Horsepower Hill on lap number 1. Matherly with a good start is going to be in prime position right here, though, after that second in the first moto, your fastest qualifier here tonight. He wants to go to the lead, and he wants to go to the lead in a hurry. Nearly 3 wide at the top of the hill as Carr tries to pass Gurst. Chwalik crossing back underneath. We'll see what happens as these guys drop back down the hill. Woo, got tight in there. Carr to the inside, tries to take the lead. Gurst on the outside, holds it on to hold position. That's the risk you leave when you run with that door wide open. But Gurst is able to hold it on. And Ethan Gurst going to lead them into the sand section, going to the top of the hill. Oh, Chwalik lays it down. And he's bringing a couple people with him. Couldn't quite get the number on who that was, but looks like Matherly, Bordeaux, Frank Jackson, everybody was able to get by. Millie Soderblom. So a great start here for Gurst. He's just trying to hold on to this lead. And Seth Carr is going to work on applying that pressure. Remember, Seth Carr, he was 4th in moto number 1, so he as well looks to factor in for this overall win today. If things get a little bit crazy with the guys behind him. If your Matherly is, Gurst front flips through the whoops. He keeps it on 2 wheels to retain second, but Carr is going to lead the first lap of the race. Unbelievable that Gurst rode out of that one. Go buy a lottery ticket, Sunshine, because that is certainly a top 10 thrown away on the first lap if you don't ride that one out. Wow. So Seth Carr back into the race lead once again here at Washougal. It'll be Gurst settling into second. Matherly is up in 3rd. And Bordeaux is in 4th. Wow. And Logan Leitzel is absolutely buried in the field. This is going to be another really tough moto for the 16 of our championship leader. 26th place right now, and it looks like he was even further than that at the end of lap number 1. Shout out Tucker Francis for the updates in the chat right now. But it looks like it's going to come down to Carr, Bordeaux, and Matherly for the overall, at least for the time being. Unless things get really wild, I just don't see how Leitzel's going to pull this thing off. Right now, a 4-1 beats a 2-3 that Matherly's putting together. So Bordeaux's 4-1 is ahead of Matherly points-wise, but Carr's 4-1 is actually the one that puts him in position to win the overall versus Bordeaux's 1-4. Of course, there's still so much racing left to go, but just giving you guys an early indication where the where everything kind of lays out, I suppose. As Carr is just going to carry that speed up to the top. Whew. Carr just dancing through those braking bumps. But it's working, man. He's going fast. Really pushing the pace here at the front of the field. Gurst now under attack. Here comes Cade Matherly. He was denied his first race win and a chance at his first overall win 2 weeks ago at Southwick. I don't think he wants to be denied anymore as he pulls up alongside Gurst through the rollers to the finish line jump. It launches into the corner after the finish. Cade Matherly moves into second place. And as it runs right now, that is going to be 1 point to the good for the overall win. Puts him on 44 points versus the 43 points that both Bordeaux and Carr are sitting on. But I think Matherly has his sights on a bigger prize, and that is not only his first overall win, but his first career moto win if he could go get it. Now that he has moved into second place, he's got some clear track, and he's got a target to focus on. As he sees that 35 machine make a little mistake at the bottom of Horsepower Hill, that is going to be a huge benefit to Matherly, who got a great run. Bordeaux is trying to close in. Remember, if Bordeaux goes into third place, the 1-3 that he would put together is better on a points-wise than the 2-2 that Matherly has right now. So Matherly... Oh, car's down! Car has gone down on the backside of the step down. From the race lead goes to 35, and your new leader is Cade Matherly. Well, there has never been a better position to be in for Cade Matherly in his MX Simulator racing career than right now. A second in Moto 1 means he controls all of his own destiny for this one. And he is now leading the race here at Washougal, looking to pick up his first career overall win, his first career Moto win, and do so in emphatic fashion. He's got 24 minutes and 2 laps to go. There is a lot of racing left. And as time showed us in the first Moto, these guys are going to make some more mistakes as this track gets rougher. But this is certainly exactly what a lot of Cade's fans back home watching the YouTube channel Cade Matherly has. It's been a very popular one for sim content. Posting a lot of cool stuff of late, so I'm sure people are stoked to see their guy up front and leading. But man, oh man, he is in a fantastic position right now. Give credit to Gerst, though. Even though he's made a couple of mistakes that lost him the lead, he is going right back to work to try to close up to Cade for the race lead. And Bordeaux's kind of lost touch a little bit. He's actually got Carr closing back up on him now for third place. Now, the other question that we have to keep an eye on is, where is Logan Leitzel? He's now up into 12th. You know what? He's still only 24 seconds down. I don't know, man. I've seen guys come from much bigger deficits to win these races before. I am just not going to 100% rule out Leitzel as coming back to try to win this thing. But it's looking pretty good for any of these guys up here right now. Bordeaux going to try to get into second place and then set sail after Matherly, because it's starting to come down between the two of them to win this overall. But man, oh man, Seth Carr is just giving him everything he can handle as they head up Horsepower Hill again. Whew. Little scrubs in the opposite direction. Bordeaux has that rear end kick out. Carr has an inside line. Oh, it's close. But Bordeaux shuts the door as they drop down the hill again. Look at Carr with that inside line. Worked pretty well. Bordeaux squares off through this corner as they launch out of the top there. Whew. They're catching Ethan Gerst in front of him. This is going to be a good fight now. Soon to be a battle for second, as Matherly just trying to inch away at the front of the field. Remember, he is your fastest qualifier as well, so he knows how to get it done. As Gerst cases a triple, Bordeaux alongside trying to scrub into second place, and he will do it. Johan Bordeaux moves into second place, and just about any other day, a 1-2 would be enough to win this overall, but he has got to go get Cade Matherly to win this thing. Gerst fighting back to the outside. Might have an inside move here on Bordeaux at the bottom of the hill. Not quite. But the three-rider train remains. Bordeaux got that inside corner super clean. And now Seth Carr has to deal with Gerst in front of him. Let's see if he tries to make something quick to make a pass stick for this second position. Everybody going to the inside. Bordeaux's got kicked a little sideways right there. That's going to cost some time. Still getting the whoops a little bit wrong. These guys are closed right back up. 5-second lead now for Cade Matherly as he continues to stretch it out, while these guys are just going at it for this second position. And Leitzel now up into ninth, still just 24 seconds off the lead. Oh, Carr. Big swap. Nice save. Lost a little bit of ground, though. Really not too much, though, in the end, because he snuck back to that inside. Hopping into the sand. These guys just landing hard in that section, pushing the pace. Pushing those bikes into the ground. maximizing traction. Inside move for Gerst to get back into second place at the bottom of Horsepower Hill, and he's got it. But look at Bordeaux. He's going to have a better drive right here. Oh, he's just going to follow him right in. You can see these guys hugging the edge of the track, trying to minimize how much drag they get from those rollers going up the hill. More central on the track that you get, the more up and down you go through the rollers. But Gerst got that triple-double through the corner brilliantly and pulls back away from Bordeaux just a little bit. Yeah, tough moto right now for Nathan Prynne, as you guys are discussing in chat. Depending on where Prynne gets to, if Matherly holds on to the race lead here, we might actually see Matherly moving into second place in the championship. Although where Bordeaux finishes kind of depends on it as well. Bordeaux and Matherly so close in points. And entering this one, I believe they were both about 20 to 22 points back of Prynne. So Prynne, depending on how far he gets through the field, will certainly be a bit of a sitting duck for those guys. But definitely well and truly over that 100-point mark now for the championship lead, as Prynne is 24th as they run. First to the outside. And Bordeaux is staying close, just not close enough, as the Panini Motorsports teammates just continue to push one another. And it's been a good fight. Really good fight between these guys here. Just nothing in it, really. I feel like they're both running the same pace. It's really helping Matherly, though, stretch it out the gap as Gerst finally goes down. Legs off on landing. You land too hard in transition right there, and you can certainly fall off the bike quickly. I was feeling like those guys are going a little bit long into the next roller on that jump, lap after lap. I even remember commenting on it one lap by that they landed really hard, and that time Gerst just went a little bit too long. Oh, and it looks like Nathan Prynne has disconnected. I believe we'll have to get official eyes on him in the server here to make sure, but yeah, it is looking very much so based on timing and scoring, showing him in 33rd, but the time difference between the guys around him, I think he is definitely disconnected from this race. So Nathan Prynne has now watched, he was 101 points down, I believe, on Leitzel entering this moto. Andoni Ezcurra, where did he come from? Right up here with Seth Shirley and Ethan Gerst as well. Good run for Ezcurra as he goes down and brings Gerst with him. Seth Carr now shows his face up here as well. Oh, Leitzel just moved into, looks like 7th place and then went down as he is side by side with Frank Jackson. Max Chwalik is going to try to rush the outside to make this pass back on Jackson to the inside here. Does not want to fall back into this group. Yeah, nice run right there. So he lost a little bit of time in a couple positions. Chwalik just got sideways as we got Triley's over the triple in the center of the track right here. And then everybody laying it over huge on the scrub jump. We have Triley's at the step up on the back here. Here we go. Oh, Frank Jackson straight air Leclerc in it. As Max Chwalik says, I'm just going to try to pass you for dead airing that jump. But the battle continues. Chwalik versus Frank Jackson. Oh, Chwalik trying to get an inside line. No, they almost came together. That was close. And Chwalik does indeed complete the pass. What a maneuver. And now Leitzel, as he hops through the rollers in front, going to have Chwalik to his outside. Max Chwalik on the move right now, giving Logan Leitzel everything he can handle. Is he going to pass the championship leader right here? Look at this line. Certainly was thinking about it. Whew. Little kick right there over that single jump. And that's Ethan Gerst down, so that's another position gain for both of these guys. Look at Chwalik launching to flat. And now this has turned into a three-rider battle for 5th place, I believe. No, 6th actually now. Leitzel is up to 6th place. Good. Just whatever it takes to try and hopefully get up there to maybe battle for an overall win. But it's looking a little bleak. 32 seconds off of the race leader. Andonias Cura is still in 5th. Seth Carr just got around him for 4th. Seth Shirley pretty all alone in 3rd, as is Johan Bordeaux in 2nd. And this man, Cade Matherly, at the halfway point of this one, has been leading for the last 6 or 7 laps of the, well, 5 or 6 laps, I should say, because he's been leading since the 2nd lap of the race now, I believe. Ooh, and Lane Burks in chat updating us on the fact that another thing that would happen here if Leitzel doesn't win this moto even is this would break up the streak that he has had, which is winning at least one moto at every round this year too. So Matherly going to come on down to the finish line jump and check in onto the 8th lap of the race, and he is looking at that gap right there as we just saw him disappear out of the screen as Bordeaux barrel rolls and lands it in 2nd place. Oh my goodness, that was almost a big one for Johan Bordeaux. Well, it was a big one. The fact that he saved it is honestly just pure luck. Sometimes you just get the bounce that works perfectly where you just roll back up, and doesn't get much better than that, honestly. So Bordeaux going to take a bit of a deep breath right there and try to regroup and not lose any more time to Seth Shirley closing up from behind. But Shirley's been kind of inching up to him here for a little while. Good run for the 23 of Shirley in this moto. Bordeaux just kicking that front end out. Shirley landing off the track a little bit. That's certainly a battle that's going to be brewing as Seth Carr now coming to the back bottom of Horsepower Hill with Andonias Cura right behind him. And Leitzel's catching these guys. Got the pace wicked up, 28 flat, 7 seconds behind them now. And even just looking at the map right now, it doesn't really seem like Leitzel's that far down. Ooh, internet. Ooh, bad internet problems right now for Logan Leitzel. Really rough connection. I'm curious to see if this is going to be a problem. Because if you are lagging too... I forget the limit. I feel like if it's over 1,000 or 2,000 ping, it starts to time you out of the server. But yeah, there he is. Now he's back there in front of Max Chwalik. So it looks like he's all good to go. But yeah, got to be careful there with the internet connection. Could disconnect from the server. Oh, Shirley has gotten around Johan Bordeaux. So Bordeaux must have went down because the gap is certainly not close. Maybe just a slide out or something, not big enough. But yeah, Bordeaux slips back to 3rd. And now if you're Bordeaux, you got to be careful here, because more and more guys are starting to come closer from behind. You got Seth Carr in the mix. Andonias Cura is not too far behind Seth Carr, as you just saw him flash there in the background in the all-red gear for District Designs. Carr, Shirley, Bordeaux, or excuse me, Matherly, Shirley, Bordeaux, Carr is Cura, the top 5. You got Logan Leitzel 6th, Max Chwalik 7th. Go back and find these guys. We got Leitzel just picking it up from a crash, actually. So that is going to be Chwalik going into 6th place. And Leitzel's going to pick it up right in between Chwalik and Millie Soderblom, who is there on the 183 in the background. You also have Frank Jackson, and I believe that's Gerst on the 29 bouncing through the whoop section behind these guys. Leitzel's trying to push up These guys. Oh, my goodness. Trying to launch onto the back of Max Chwalik there. I feel like Chwalik, honestly, is one of the few guys on the track that is like crazy enough to match Leitzel's pace. I don't think he's consistent enough to do it, but he certainly is not afraid to throw caution to the wind to try to run some bonkers pace to keep guys either behind him or try to catch a group of guys, riders ahead of him. Leitzel kind of hops through the rollers there a little bit. A little bit of a kick out, but no harm, no foul. That's a good question, Quentin. I would have to go back through the history a little bit to look. But, I mean, there's been some definitely dominant seasons in mainly the 250 class. The 450 class usually has quite a bit of parity. There was some years, I guess, there where Leclerc was pretty far out front by the end of it, but or Mullins too. Yeah, Mullins had some years that he was pretty far out front, but I think most of the time you kind of see the biggest gap between the 250 class. Like, for example, Payson Johnson last year was more or less the class of the field. I think he won the title by about 80-something points in the end over Cooper Hunt. And obviously he's moved up to 450s this year, and there's been some other championships that were pretty stretched out. I think Burkeen, when he won his 250 outdoor title, was pretty far gone too. So usually the 250 class. I'll have to go back though and research that. I'm keen to see, because as we watch Leitzel close this thing down towards the latter stages of this championship and has extended this championship lead over 100 points, which means he could wrap it up at Budds Creek, which is the 10th round of this series. But even if it gets crazier than that, if he somehow extends it out even more over Matherly and like, for example, going into the next round at Unadilla, if he's able to leave Unadilla with a 150-point lead in the championship, which is not crazy at this point in time, it's out to 120 plus as it currently sits. Yeah, then he legit has a shot to wrap up the title 3 rounds early, which is, I think, the longest it's ever been, or the earliest it's ever been wrapped up, I should say. So, yeah. Bordeaux and Chwalik having a nice little fight right here as they're at the bottom of Horsepower Hill. Still a 12-second lead for Matherly. And then you have this fight right here for 5th place. So honestly, Bordeaux has really tossed this thing away. He went from borderline having a shot at winning this overall after winning the first moto to not even having a shot at the overall. Maybe even you're having to start to think about podium implications a little bit. As Chwalik now goes by, and it's still just not looking too solid in this moto for Bordeaux. I'm not sure what it is. First moto was so good for the 40. Maybe it's just clean air. Because now Leitzel's kind of lurking up behind these guys. Chwalik passed Leitzel, so we know Chwalik pace-wise is going faster than him at the moment. But Leitzel even has closed up on Bordeaux now as well. And just as I say that, Chwalik goes down. So Leitzel's going to gain another position and have a shot at Bordeaux here. And oh man, if it wasn't for Matherly out front, somehow, some way, Leitzel would actually have a shot at winning this overall, as he's going to go right around the outside of Johan Bordeaux and then launch back down the hill into 5th place. Incredible. Leitzel is riding so hard. Antonius Kerr up the track, then Seth Shirley, who is side by side with Seth Carr in a battle for 2nd. And I've said many times that you're seeing 2 bikes that look the same, but they are not teammates. Well, that is not the case in this situation. These guys are actually teammates on the Underground Phil's Ski and Snowboard team, Underground RC, and Phil's Ski and Snowboard coming together for one super team for this outdoor championship, which somehow always happens. For whatever reason, teams are pretty, separate or doing their own thing or just having less guys in Supercross. But then when it gets to outdoors, there's been quite a few mega teams combined in the past. That have made just gigantic teams over the years. So whatever reason, outdoors always attracts that kind of systematic approach, I suppose. Is the way you would put it. Oh, and Kara's down. Got sideways at the top of the hill. That's all it takes. Andonias Kura suddenly sees the 35 machine just in front of him. Ooh, interesting quick research there by Lane Burke. So Fjellberg in 2014 and Burkeen in 2015 at 76 points were the largest margins of victory at the end of the season. But of course, that does not take into account whether the aforementioned rider clinched early and didn't race the final couple rounds, which I don't think it happened either of those years. The only thing I could think of is maybe Burkeen jumped to the 450 class for the last couple rounds if he clinched that early, but I don't think that was the case. So, man, oh man, we might be looking at the most dominant season in MX Simulator history out of Logan Leitzel. But unfortunately for Leitzel, the dominance of all dominance, which would have been the perfect overall season, is about to come to an end in the final 3.5 minutes plus 2 laps here. Because while Leitzel, who is still battling with Frank Jackson, Johan Bordeaux, and the others for a top 5 position, Cade Matherly is on the verge of his first moto win of his career and his first overall win of his career to become the first rider all year not named Logan Leitzel to win in this 250 division for an overall, which is mind-boggling how deep into the season we have made it, starting all the way back in late May, and it is now almost August, and Leitzel has won every single round in that time span. But this is just cool for Matherly. Obviously, Cade has been so close this year to winning motos, winning overalls, and the heartbreak of Southwick when you quite literally tie for the race win, but due to a technicality, it is gifted to the person who crossed the line first, which it's a fair point. It's a fair explanation. If you were watching with us back at Southwick, you may have seen that Matherly was on timing and scoring shown as the winner of 250 Moto 1 at Southwick. But it was a dead tie based on penalties that were applied post-race between himself and Logan Leitzel for that first moto win. Even though Matherly was listed as the winner of the first moto, the game creator Josh Vanderhoof later went on to explain that the only reason it showed him as the winner was because the scoring, when it's a dead tie, shows the lowest slot number, which basically means whoever was in the server first, which is a weird way to base results off of, because it has nothing to do with the race itself. It just has to do with whoever was waiting the longest to race. It's kind of interesting. But in that case, JLB did explain that it should be put as whoever crosses the finish line jump first in a tie scenario wins the moto. Leitzel crossed the line as the winner of the first moto at Southwick, but after the cuts were applied, it put him and Matherly at a dead tie. So in that situation, Leitzel was then given the 250 Moto 1 victory, finished second in the second moto, and at the time we thought Prin had won the overall at Southwick with a 3-1 versus what we then thought was a 2-2 out of Logan Leitzel, but it was not. It was a 1-2, so Leitzel kept his perfect season. Matherly had to wait again to try to get his first career moto win. And then last week, if you were with us at Spring Creek, Cade Matherly had maybe the most interesting moment of the season. Definitely one of the oddest moments I've seen in MX Simulator in a while, when on the first lap of the second moto at the top of Mount Martin, he and Sonny Spicer came together, and Cade Matherly got launched 200 feet into the night sky. Well, the day sky, I should say. But yeah, he went from a pretty good start in that second moto, 4th place or so, to a dead last place start, and had to charge his way forward. So definitely interesting. But unfortunately for Matherly, that did not result in a red flag or a restart, as it usually doesn't in those situations. So he's had his fair share of bad luck, is the point I'm trying to get at. He has had 2 weeks where things looked like they were going to go his way, and they really didn't. And finally, for things to fall in his direction, boy, it's going to feel real sweet to win this one, I feel like, for Cade Matherly. So 2 laps will remain next time by, because time has now expired. Cade Matherly on the verge of his first career moto and overall victory, and it's going to be a fun one to see the reaction out of the 38 machine when he gets it done. Seth Shirley here in second place, 19 seconds down. Seth Carr in third. Johan Bordeaux has gotten back into fourth, and Leitzel is now in fifth. So Leitzel trying to claw his way maybe into fourth late in this one. We'll see if he can do his best to salvage some good points. Like I said, with Print out of this moto, he is still going to extend his championship lead. It was, I believe, provisionally 101 points coming into this moto. So now with a 5th place run for him, it's going to be out to 117 points. But gets another couple points here to go into 4th. It'll be out to 119 points. And we're looking at this incredible gap in this championship. And Lights is going to take so much confidence into the 3-week break coming up here, knowing that this championship is basically his for the taking. He pretty much just has to show up and score any number of somewhat decent points in the final 4 rounds, and the championship is his. I mean, it's such a unique position to be in. Not many people have ever had this situation. But he is still charging, man. He still wants to have good results as he lays it over trying to get around Bordeaux right there. So a little mistake cost him some time, but no harm, no foul. Continues on in 5th place. Nothing really else happening. You got Antonio Escura in 6th. Frank Jackson is in 7th. Ethan Gers is in 8th. Maxime Vanderbeek has crawled all the way up into 9th, so good riding for him. And Braden Tharp rounds out our top 10. Max Chwalik has drifted back to 11th. Jet Holyhead on the 142 Covenant ride is in 12th. Bodie Parker 13th. Hayden Stevenson just went down with Millie Soderblom. So these guys are 14th and 15th, but Trent Adams is going to go by. Anna Rogers back here. Alex Kerr, Garrett Hollenbeck, Noah McLaughlin. Where is Garrett Hollenbeck? What in the heck? Timing and scoring is glitched out a little bit here. There it finally goes. I don't know what's wrong with the cameras tonight, but it is just being really weird. And back to this battle between Bordeaux and Leitzel over the top of the hill. Leitzel is pushing to get around Johan Bordeaux, because this is not only more points for Leitzel, but it's less points for Bordeaux, who at this point in time is still provisionally in 2nd place in the championship, but Cade Matherly would take it over, I believe, if Bordeaux drops to 5th. And that is basically your new 2nd place runners in the championship. I know Prin would, I think, still actually have 2nd place in the championship after tonight. But this fight right here kind of determines, I think, 2nd place moving forward between Matherly and Bordeaux. Look at that line for Logan Leitzel. Unbelievable speed around the outside. And Bordeaux just no response yet, but he's trying to fight back around the outside here. Honestly, almost made that inside line work. I don't think I've seen many people actually try that, and it works. But not quite close enough, and now losing just enough time. As, wow, Seth Carr is right in front of Logan Leitzel. That's another few points for Leitzel. Get that gap out over 120. Be 121 if he gets around Seth Carr. He's pushing, man. He is trying his darndest to get around Oh my goodness, almost landed on him. Bordeaux is going to see that and think, I would very much appreciate you guys getting together. So I want to check and see. Yeah, Matherly still got that 19-second lead. So this battle for third is the frantic fight to watch here, as they're going to charge up Horsepower Hill. Leitzel is going to launch out onto the last roller there before the uphill, looks like. Oh my goodness. Oh, he's off the inside of the track. Nice save, but the front end tuck was definitely happening right there, so he had to back out of the challenge 100%. And now Bordeaux is sneaking down the inside, trying to make a pass back as Leitzel goes around the outside here. Look at, he's right back on Seth Carr here, trying to pass his way into third place. Let's see. He's going to charge to the outside. Look at how hard he's going to attack this outside line at the bottom of the hill. Boom, to the outside, back to the inside. Just couldn't quite get there in time. Terrific fight between these guys. And of course, we'll go back up and give Matherly his due, but I feel like something's about to happen here in this battle for third. Is look at Leitzel clipping tough blocks, laying it over huge on that step up into the back. Scrub City. Oh, what? This is the battle for second now. Where did Shirley slip behind these guys? What just happened? Oh my goodness, this battle for second's about to be absolutely nutty. Meanwhile, up front, final straightaway, first career moto win, first career overall win. Cade Matherly gets it done at Washougal. Back to the battle for second. Frantic action to the line. Leitzel trying to steal this one at the flag. He is pushing Seth Carr for everything he can handle, and it's going to come down to the whoops. Who gets the drive? Leitzel's into him pretty good. Carr's into him pretty good. They're side by side nearly. It's going to be Carr in second, Leitzel third, Bordeaux fourth. And Shirley rounds out the top five. Certainly have to imagine, with 2/10 in it at the line between Carr and Leitzel, that there could be some penalties involved. But that was a fantastic race to the flag, as Cade Matherly has won the Washougal National. Frank Jackson ends up in sixth. Maxime Vanderbeek, side by side with Jet Holyhead for seventh. Holyhead gets it. Tharp ends up in ninth. And Schwalik will round out the top 10. So Bodie Parker looks like he is going to get 11th. Antonio Ezcurra will end up in 12th. Ethan Gerst, 13th. Whew. Guys cutting back across. Oh, Hayden Stevenson and Trent Adams, they're going to have a battle royale to the line. Drag race to the flag. Adams is so close. It's going to be just 1/10 in it between those. But it will be Stevenson 14th, Adams 15th. And then Millie Soderblom looks like he will get 16th. 17th for Noah McLaughlin. 18th is going to be Daniel Mills. So points this moto for Mills, who is not having a good first moto there. Tanner Rogers, 19th. And Alex Kerr should be 20th. Jack Gatland is lurking back there, as is Dylan Love. But everybody else looks like they're out of this one, as Rogers goes down. And then Kerr went down too. So these guys are making all kinds of mistakes. It is absolute pandemonium. But the real pandemonium, Cade Matherly, he is just doing wheelies around in the forests here at Washougal. There is nobody happier, I promise, right now, than Cade Matherly, who has just won his first career moto, his first ever overall, after being the fastest qualifier here today, as he goes right through the podium. And man, oh man, good to see Cade on top, first time in his career. He is certainly going to be really stoked about that. One's going to do a burnout inside the podium for the fans. And you love, love, love to see it. That is redemption for a rough couple of weeks, and obviously redemption for the mayhem that unfolded there at Southwick, as Matherly gets it done here tonight at Washougal. Let's take a look at the penalties as they finally come in. And wow, incredibly, nothing changed in that top five, but Vanderbeek does get around Jet Holyhead for 7th in the end. Looks like Trent Adams got around Hayden Stevenson for 14th. And the rest, stayed the same, except for Jack Gatland crossed the line in 21st, but it doesn't matter. He lost a position anyway. The man of the night, Cade Matherly, your winner here tonight at Washougal. And the crowd goes wild for their guy. Cause he just yards it into the hillside. Well done, son. Well done. Great to see a new first-time winner on the circuit here in MX Simulator. As that sets us up now for the final moto of the night, 450, moto number 2 going to the gate. Can Payson Johnson get it done again? Or does perhaps one Alexis Leclerc have something to say about it? We're about to find out as 450 moto number 2 comes to the gate. As a refresher, what happened in 450 moto number 1? Payson Johnson was your winner, but it was much narrower in the end than he had most of the races. Only about 15, 16 seconds ahead of Alexis Leclerc, who now goes from 37 back in the championship to 40 back. So he has got to do something right now to make sure that it doesn't get any bigger than that. Bryce Whelan was 3rd. Colby Eaglin was 4th. Cooper Hunt was 5th. Tyler Lang in 6th. Matthias Janis 7th. Trevor Burns 8th. Jack Haley 9th. And Pablo Vial rounded out the top 10. 11th was Braden Castellaneta, Adam Holm, Rogan McIntosh, Reno Brennan, and Blake O'Brien rounded out the top 15 ahead of Austin Bear, Dakota French, Timmy Briscoe, Jeff Cooper, and Chris Post. So Posty ended up getting some points in that moto with the final points paying position in 20th. Behind that, Trevor Spencer, Kyle Carpenter, Hollywood Wascom, Jack Mark, Anthony Pachone, Caleb Hall, Robert Wilson, Ryan Anderson, Chase Blakely, Dylan Adams, Jacob Hubbard, Aaron Rockefeller, Jeremy Siebolt, Zach Fisher, Ashton Rakowski, Chase Morales, J.R. Reyes, Caden Gross, Jet Wisdom, Finn Collins, Jaden Wilson, and Tyler Shields was your running order for 450 moto number 1, which happened about an hour ago at this point in time. So if you haven't been with us the whole time, you want to go back and watch that one, it's pretty simple to do so. Just rewind back to that point in time of the broadcast. But now it is time for the final moto of the night, 450 moto number 2, 30 minutes plus 2 laps yet again. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, who's ready for the final moto of the night? Alrighty, let us get reconnected to the server. I'm ready. I'm ready. Ah! If you guys have ever looked up how, what's that voice actor's name that does SpongeBob? It is. I'm so bummed that I forget his name now because I've definitely seen it many times before. But if you ever look at how he does the SpongeBob laugh, it is very interesting. Sometimes able to get it good enough. Ah! But it's Tom Kelly? I think that's his name. I feel like that might be right, but Jeff Kinney? Is that what it is? Something like that? Tom Kinney, something like that? So, yeah, it's one of those. I don't remember, but yeah, how he does the SpongeBob laugh. Look it up, I swear. You'll be interested to see how he does it. All right, here we go, folks. We've had enough fun already, haven't we? Final 450 moto of the night. Let us go. I don't know why the timer wasn't popping up there for a second, but let us drop the gate here. Final moto of the night, 450 Moto 2. Let's go! Well, it is a Underground RC KTM through the middle. It is not going to be Bryce Whelan this time. Instead, it's his teammate, Brandon Castellaneta. Studio 8 Whole Shot Award for the 26 machine, but Caden Gross goes to the race lead. Woo! Big chaos behind. Couldn't quite see, but Johnson just avoided it. Now Castellaneta goes down right in front of the field, and Tyler Lang takes the race lead. So Lang, Caden Gross in second, Holm third. You got Johnson in fourth. You got Matthias Janis inside of the top five. I think Leclerc might be seventh or eighth. He's just at the back of the frame right there, I believe. I don't know, man. It is kicking off as Caden Gross got a little sideways. Hey, how about Adam Holm trying to get an inside move on Johnson? Johnson around the outside of Gross, I should say, makes his way into second place. Whew. Wild first lap here as many riders went down on the uphill of Horsepower Hill. And indeed, Leclerc does have a pretty good start here. This is much better than he had in the first moto. So the question mark will be if Johnson is going to have that competition from behind. But this is maybe the bigger story. Tyler Lang finally is leading a race early in the moto. And it's going to be interesting to see how the defending champ holds on to that pressure, especially with the 51 of Johnson closing up from behind right away. It is going to be go time from the beginning here for both of these guys, because Johnson's got one of the best riders in the world to try to pass, and Lang has got arguably the best rider in the world right now to try to hold off from behind. This is going to be really fun to watch, and Leclerc obviously going to try to work into this frame as well if possible. Woo, Lang bouncing through the sand there a little bit. And Johnson is coming so fast. Look at Lang laying it over the top of Horsepower Hill. And now he's sideways. Nice save, but Johnson's going to jump right by into the race lead. Change for the lead. Johnson to the front. Whew, Johnson got there so fast, and I think Lang was trying to react and up his pace. And it just took one small mistake. Now the question is, can Lang latch on to Johnson, or is Johnson going to start just opening up that gap like we've seen him do so many times already this year from the race lead? So he takes over the lead from Lang, and Janis is into third, Gross is fourth, and Leclerc is inside the top five right now. So Leclerc's going to try to go to work on Caden Gross here for the fourth position, and set sail after his teammate Janis ahead of him. Look at that pass right into fourth place. Easily done in the end. Back to our race leaders. Lang is certainly trying to up that pace and that intensity from the beginning. It's really very much like a real motocross race in that sense. We're seeing more often that the opening lap pace in the 450 class in real life is just so gnarly that, you know, you talk to a guy like Ryan Dungey, and it's just one of those things that's harder to get used to when you come back after many years off. Those guys are going so fast in the opening laps, and that is exactly the same level of intensity that Johnson is bringing out here. And you look at it generationally wise, yeah, Lang is still, I guess, kind of more the newer generation of talent that has come through of recent years, and won national championship last year, has won so many other series and races and other things like that. But Johnson, the new guy on the block, the 250 national champion from last year, the first year 450 rider, first full season at least for the rookie, and with that, he brings a new level of mindset, intensity, and a way of approaching these races that we just haven't seen from some of the other riders over the years. Like, I would say maybe the closest comparison to what Johnson is doing right now that we've had over the years is Leclerc. It's Leclerc's early sprint pace was pretty hard to match, especially early in his career in this game, because he would get such good starts as Lang stacks up into the corner, and he is in a very awkward position right there as he loses some time, and Johnson now has quite a bit of breathing room to work with. Back to third place. Leclerc just getting around his teammate Janice to take over that third place position on the racetrack. And now the chase is on. As best as he possibly can do it, Leclerc is 12.5 seconds or so, almost 13 seconds it looks like, behind our race leaders. So what does he do? We got to do lap time checks, of course. Got to see if he's gaining time, losing time, and how Johnson manages the race lead this time, because Johnson actually did crash it away quite a bit in the first moto. Like, it was yo-yoing back to Bryce Whelan quite a bit. It was not all smooth sailing the entire time. Let's get a first lap time check through here. I'm curious what Leclerc did. He obviously had to pass a rider to get to what he's about to put down right here, but he lays down a 220.7 as Lang goes 226 flat and a 218.1 out of Payson Johnson out front. Oh, man, got a little kick out right there. Interesting. So Johnson is pushing the pace right now. Did make a little bit of a mistake, but oh, Lang is down out of second. Lang down in the sand, so Leclerc goes by. Janice goes through, and Lang picks it up now in fourth place. So it seems that Lang was trying to up that intensity to match Johnson's pace, couldn't do it, and then started making too many mistakes. And now there is nobody between Leclerc and Johnson ahead of him. Leclerc banks off that outside and launches over the hill right there. That is so cool doing that line right there, the way that he does it. I mean, even at this rate, if Leclerc can just win this moto and catch up to Johnson and just make a little bit of a statement. I know it still leaves it at a 37-point deficit with just 4 rounds to go. It's such a big gap. But just say something. Just show Johnson, I guess, at this point that you can run his pace. You can beat him. But you're going to need a lot of help, and there is some help right there. Johnson just went down with the race lead. You're going to see Leclerc in the background peek over the hill back there as the gap now closes up from its 13-second gap built out to probably about 6. Yeah, 6.4. So now we have a little bit of a different race here, because Leclerc is going to be able to see Johnson ahead of him, and Leclerc just put down another 220. I mean, I know Johnson's laying down these 218s, 229 with a fall off and other things like that, but again, the problem that you have is running that pace, which is more or less a qualifying pace, as you open yourself up to more opportunities to crash, as we just saw with Johnson out front. So 5.9 seconds now, the gap, as Johnson just goes back to work. We're going to see, so I'll stick on board with him here for a minute to just watch his line selection, see if that gap extends, as he just carries so much speed up Horsepower Hill. But it's not really, the gap is kind of stagnant at that 6 second range. Oh, Johnson, how does he get that lift? And again, like I said, he is pushing that pace. The track is starting to deteriorate a little bit more. And as those little bumps and notches and other things start to shine through from riders hitting the track weird or crashing in an odd spot, it's so easy to catch you out when you're going this fast, because you just don't see that stuff. I mean, look at how fast he just hit that corner. That's ridiculous. And scrubs that triple. It's honestly amazing when you watch Johnson. Oh my gosh, how does he pull that back? I was gonna say, it's amazing you watch him and then you notice that Leclerc is not losing that much time. I mean, I guess in this lap alone he's lost about 2 seconds, but good gravy, he's going so fast down these sections. All right, let's take a look at what this lap time is, because this is going to be crazy. It is a 2:18.3. So Leclerc is going to probably go another 2:20 right here, but it's just not the same. Yeah, 2:20.6. I mean, he just keeps inching closer and closer with his lap time. But unless Johnson crashes again, I just don't know if Leclerc is going to have the outright pace to match Johnson here today. So we've already seen it, though, once. We've seen the crash from Johnson. We go back to the first moto. He crashed a couple times, allowed Bryce Whelan to get close. He allowed Leclerc to get close towards the end. Crazy, crazy speed being turned by these two right now. And then it is Bryce Whelan that has moved into the third position at this point in time. So Whelan, he's having a pretty good day at the races here, got to say. Bryce Whelan has showed up to play here at Washougal after a third in the first moto. Literally, the top three is the same top three right now as it was in the first moto with Johnson, Leclerc, Whelan, 1, 2, 3. This time, though, Adam Holm has snuck up into fourth place. And Holm was 12th in the first moto, as Lang is all over the 17 machine in a battle for fourth. Look at Lang launching. Oh, and there's Eaglin actually on the 24 now trying to pass Lang. I didn't realize he was part of this battle, but he is. It's every time I see a stock bike, I just assume that I don't normally see these guys up front, but it's just because we haven't seen Eaglin at all this year in the Nationals. So showing up and giving her a go. And we got Jack Haley on the 2 also in the mix. We got a slew of champions in the mix. We got former world champion Adam Holm. We got reigning national champion Tyler Lang. We have multi-time 250 Supercross champion Colby Eaglin, multi-time 250 and 450 Supercross and national champion Jack Haley. Woo! My goodness. Lang with the rear tire dancing around coming out of that corner as Haley's going to make a nice pass to get around Eaglin. Just saw that in the background right there. And Lang is just pushing up to the back end of Adam Holm. This battle's been going on for a little bit, and now Haley will try to close on from behind these guys, as the gap out front still 8.6 seconds. So this is a fantastic fight for fourth place between 4 different riders, and also cool to see 4 different manufacturers represented as Lang is going to get to the inside of Holm, and then Haley fires right back as well to get Holm for 5th place. Jack Haley weaving through these guys, but made a little mistake right there, so I think Holm might get him back. It's side by side to the line between the two of them. Now Haley holds on. Good moves by the two to keep it up there in front of Adam Holm. And I just feel like Haley is all eyes focused on Lang right now. It looks like he has the pace. He just blew by Eagland, and now Holm likewise, and is close right up to the back of Lang. Look at this inside move even. Just not quite close enough to pull up. Now a mistake for Lang. Haley has to go to the outside through the sand section. Man, getting that power down and pushing through these corners. Lang takes the preferred inside line, so Haley has to settle for that outside line. Now they all take this one at the bottom of Horsepower Hill. Split lines. Right side of the track for Lang, left side of the track for Haley. Most people electing to take that far right side of the track if they can. Ooh, mistake for Lang. Door of opportunity opened for Haley. He's going to rip this corner, try to get that nose up the inside. Just cannot quite get there. Another mistake for Lang. He has been caught out a couple times getting sideways in these downhills. Sure, Haley realizes that, and I think that that's why he keeps just trying to push right up to Lang, because Lang almost kind of racing behind him a little bit. He's trying to think forward, but when you got that much pressure coming from behind, it's so tough to just think about what's in front of you and not where those guys behind you are trying to set up a pass or try something different. Looks like Lang has just opened up enough of a gap, though, to relax, at least for the time being, as Adam Holm tries to close up onto Haley. You got Colby Eagland right there as well on the 24. Good battle. Close action. Love to see it. All these guys just kind of running the same pace, too. Ooh, Holm a little mistake, and that's going to cause him to go down. I saw that front end get a little bit light over that jump, and then it just plows into the next one. Seen it so many times in that roller section here at Washougal with those guys, as Haley goes right back to work on Lang again. Still not done with the one, and now the one is done himself as he is off the side of the bike and down. Haley goes through into 4th, Eagland up into 5th. And Lang remounts in 6th, just ahead of Adam Holm, who is not quite caught up after his crash in the rollers. And that chaotic moment has now subsided, as it looks like Leclerc went down, and Johnson has himself a rather comfortable 21.4 second lead as he continues to dip his toes into the low 220s. This doesn't seem like it's going to fall Leclerc's way tonight, as Johnson is just too strong here at Washougal. But we still do have 12.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go, and Johnson is still doing some stuff that's a little bit sendy. Gonna see what Johnson's putting down this time by, because I'm sure it's something ridiculous again as he goes, oh, through the front door and down. He just ran a 220 flat, I believe. That's a pretty big fall-off crash, though. Fortunately, it looks like he came to a stop pretty quickly, so it's not going to cost him more than maybe 8 seconds or 7 seconds even. Could be fast. Let's see, Leclerc is going to go over the line, put a 2:23.2 in, and close it down to 14, and then 13.2. So yeah, gained about 8 seconds there, give or take. But Johnson does that again. Who the heck knows what could happen? All right, so we are 19 minutes in to this 30-minute plus 2-lap 450 moto number 2 here at Washougal. Payson Johnson on the number 51 passenger ride leads the race here from Alexis Leclerc on the Panini Motorsports backed by Safe Moon. BMB Soul BTC ETH number 7 in second place. Colby Eaglin has worked his way into third place. Wow. What a battle this has become between these guys. Let's actually stick with this group for a second. Eaglin, Haley, Whelan. You got Lang off the back of it as Eaglin goes off the side of the track, and Haley's going to shoot into that third place, but Eaglin is not done just yet. Trying to fight back to the inside. You got Whelan pushing up to Eaglin's rear tire now as well. Might even make a pass. Look at this. Down the inside after the mechanics area. Almost comes to blows between the two of them. Up Horsepower Hill, Haley. Third place from Eaglin on the passenger 24 in fourth. The 45 Phil's Underground RC number 45, I already said that, of Bryce Whelan is in fifth. Tyler Lang, his teammate on the number 1, is in sixth. Adam Holm, the Aspect Visual code number 17, runs in seventh. Matthias Janis, Panini Motorsports number 14, is in eighth. Trevor Burns on the Braxton Worldwide passenger ride. He's number 28, riding the 13 of Cooper Hunt's 450. He is in ninth. And 10th is Pablo Vial on the Yogi Designs number 137. 11th for Braden Castellaneta, Underground RC Phil's number 26. 12th for Blake O'Brien on the 167. 13th for Reno Brennan, Wildside Designs number 422. 14th for Cooper Hunt, the number 13 Panini Motorsports rider. 15th, I should say, for Chase Blakely, the BPC number 21. 16th for Kyle Carpenter. Jack Daniels Racing number 39. 17th for Ashton Rakowski, the privateer effort out here on the 924. 18th for Rogan McIntosh, stance number 60. 19th for Anthony Pachone on the Spink 127. And 20th is Caden Gross on the Billabong number 118 ride, as we give you guys a little bit of a look through the field. Make sure we're not missing out on some other battles of note. 11.3 seconds, 20.3 to a 30.7 out of Johnson. He did have that crash, but Leclerc has actually inched even a little bit closer now to Johnson. And another thing to factor in as we get later into this moto, Johnson's actually starting to hit a pretty decent amount of lapped riders. There's going to be a group of like 4 of them that he's going to hit in about a lap and a half maybe, as Leclerc almost goes through the front door into the sand. That was a close one for the 7, but a nice save for him. Johnson's going to go around the lapped rider, the 619 machine right there. Oh, Johnson's down again. That is a pretty long crash, too, and Leclerc is going to smell blood in the water. Here we go. Doesn't get much better than this. 1 and 2 in the championship. Arguably 1 and 2 in the world. 1 and 2 on the racetrack. This is going to be fun. We have got 8 minutes plus 2 laps of this. Strap in, folks. Johnson versus Leclerc for the overall win at Washougal is on. And once again, Johnson seems to be the one between the two of them that is making more mistakes as he launches out into the sand again, just trying to get that planted. Now Leclerc is close, but not quite close enough to think about anything just yet, but he has certainly pushed Payson, I should say, to his limit. Still thinking Cade Matherly just won that overall in the 250 class, but this battle in the 450 class, oh man, this is going to be good. We wait all season for something like this, to have the 2 best riders in the world square off, and finally we're going to get it. 22-7, 32-7, but of course Johnson just had that crash. Leclerc's going to have a peek up this inside line. I think Johnson's a little flustered right now. I think he's surprised that things have gone as awry as they have. He's got to get around the same lapped riders that he's already seen once before. So now Leclerc is going to deal with them as well. Johnson launching out into the rollers. That's where he crashed in the first moto. And this gap is stretched a little bit out, 2.4 seconds. Leclerc has just made a couple mistakes here of late that has allowed Johnson to stretch it out. Here's some more lap traffic as we hear Jacob Hubbard's two-stroke ripping over the top of the hill. And there's Hubbard down on the outside, so Johnson's going to go by. And now, once again, more lap traffic coming into play. It looks like Jeff Cooper just disconnected on the side of the track. Nicely done for, can't quite tell who that is. I believe it's a Yogi rider, though. Moving out of the way. Would have said it was Jeff Cooper, but he just disconnected. Don't believe it's Austin Bear, but either way, Johnson's doing a pretty solid job of weaving through this traffic. Leclerc is trying, though, just to keep it close, just to push up onto him, make him think about it. Seems like this is the best we've seen of Leclerc today, too, and Johnson just made another mistake. Less than a second in it between the leaders. Look at how good Leclerc just got that corner as he charges down to the outside. Low lines! Nearly contact between them! Oh, man. Rider down on the inside. Johnson has to switch ruts up. Leclerc already thought ahead and took a different line. They're side by side through the rollers to the flag, and Johnson's going to lay it over. Leclerc takes the lead at Washougal. Now it's Johnson's turn to respond. You just can never, ever count out the fast Frenchman Alexis Leclerc. He is so good. There is a reason he has won 4 of these titles. Arguably should have won a 5th title last year. And he has taken over the race lead. So now back to Johnson. Let's get on board at the 51. Johnson was just making too many mistakes there last half of that lap, but obviously he has pace in hand. So let's see if he can catch back up to Leclerc on merit. Got that uphill really good. Oh, watch those hay bales. Leclerc, mistake! And Leclerc has lost the lead. So Johnson takes it back over. And I hate that because I was going to build up right there. Johnson was certainly going to start catching Leclerc on speed. As they drop back down the hill into the middle here. More lap traffic. Riders trying to get out of the way, not be a burden. Johnson, I think, had to take a line he was not comfortable with right there. So Leclerc going to close back up. And for just a fraction of a second, Leclerc got a taste of the race lead. I think he's going to want some more of it. Johnson launching out into the sand there. Landing a little bit of flat. This section of the track seems to be a little bit better for Leclerc. This is where Johnson obviously made the mistake last time by, but I think Leclerc's a little bit better through this little tight stuff because he can get the power planted a little bit faster than what Johnson was able to do. And this line right here, I like this line that Leclerc's taking. It's like a low line over this table. It's a little bit faster, a little bit smoother, I think, as well than what Johnson's doing. Obviously, Johnson's line's really good to do a defensive maneuver, but I think Leclerc speed-wise, that's just a little bit better as he's going to double, triple, and then quad out of the whoops here. 225.8, 222.4. Obviously, Johnson had a little bit better of a lap there after Leclerc took the race lead. It is still so close, though, as we are down to the final minute and a half, plus 2 laps to go here. This is the overall win on the line. But I think more importantly than anything, this is a statement for Leclerc to say, doesn't matter if we tie it on points today, Sunshine. I'm going to give you everything you can handle if you want to win this title. 37-point lead entering the day. It is provisionally speaking right now at 40 points as Leclerc finally pushes the front end and goes down. Oh, it has come undone for the 7, and it is now Johnson who controls it from the front. We have seen already a couple times in this moto alone where Johnson has coughed it up a little bit. So let's see if he can just settle down. Obviously wants to keep pushing so that... Oh my gosh, what a save. Oh, that rear end was going sideways and it just caught traction at the right time. As Leclerc comes through that section and gets it pretty darn clean. Johnson scrubs into the sand. It almost seems like he might be going into conservative mode here a little bit as time has now expired in the server. A couple seconds left on the clock on our TV broadcast here, but time has expired in the server. And oh, what? What? How does he ride out of that? That was the race lead coughing up moment right there for Johnson. And he barrel rolls to keep it on 2 wheels. Oh my goodness. Well, he's still gonna have 2 more laps of this to work with, and I will say that it's looking a little loose right now for him. You have got to be kidding me that he just rode out of that. Incredible. Well, Johnson continues to lead. Leclerc is just going to be sitting back here, hoping that Johnson has yet another moment in him in these final 2 laps of the race. He just looks like he's making these small little moments here and there. Oh my goodness. I don't know why it looks like he's being careful, but then it's like also that he's getting out of shape in sections and stuff too. Maybe it's just the nature of the track. It is at its worst right now. It has had obviously 32 minutes almost at this point of 40 450 riders riding over it lap after lap after lap. So 14 laps, times 40 riders. It gets beat down in a hurry. The ruts get deeper. The braking bumps get way gnarlier. And Leclerc is just like, come on, give me another one. This is the spot last time by that Johnson got sideways, but smoother through the corner of the entry that time. A little bit of a hiccup in the S-turn, but not terrible. And he is about to put Caleb Hall a lap down in 19th place. So that is just an indication of how far through the field they've gotten already. So far, so good. As we take a look back to where Leclerc is, I mean, the gap is coming down. 8.1. Leclerc is certainly pushing to the point now where Johnson, he crashes. It's over. Leclerc is going to the lead. It is too close. It was at one point about 11 seconds. But then this moment through here, last time by that Johnson had, you can see that he looked like he took it just a little bit safer through there this time. And he is going to come to the white flag this time by, just clenching onto that passenger number 51 machine. 7.3, 7.2. Leclerc continues to close the gap down. Lap traffic will come into play as the white flag waves at Washougal. A 1-1 hangs in the balance for Johnson, but critically, 6 more championship points in his favor versus 0. If Leclerc passes him, it goes back to nothing gained on the day. And maybe you could say confidence gained for Leclerc if he can come up and beat Johnson at his own game late in this moto. Leclerc is still pushing. That gap is still coming down. As we watch Johnson work the final lap of the race here. 6.8, 22 last time by. So that means Leclerc dipped to 21.1, gained 2 seconds that last lap alone. Obviously, gaining 2 seconds a lap is not going to matter at all. He just needs a mistake. Oh, gosh, even when you flick out that scrub like that, you just hope it comes back in time because you just catch that little landing still a little bit sideways, and it just is not going to be a good day for you. Gets that section a little bit wrong. Is not going to go for the triple double through here. He is playing it safe. He is trying to just work it through each section of the track and not override the track whatsoever. As Leclerc, look at how close this has gotten. I think we're under 5 seconds now, folks. Johnson, another little mistake at the bottom of the S curves. In and out of these ruts pretty clean. I mean, he has got it, but Leclerc, oh my gosh, Leclerc has closed this gap down so much. 4.7 as Johnson launches into the sand on the last lap of the race. This is going to get as close as you can expect it to get. He has got to get pretty much his worst section of the track clean one more time, though, which is down through this hill and then the couple S-turns before the whoops and the whoops itself. He has made a couple too many mistakes through there, but he's good there. Rear end slides out a little bit. Oh, Leclerc's down. Leclerc is down on the last lap of the race. That should do it. The penalties will not come into play at this point unless Johnson goes down again, but he survived the barrage of attacks from the cagey veteran himself. Leclerc 1-1 on the day. Payson Johnson wins the Washougal National and immediately disconnects, which to me shows his discontent with his riding. Despite winning the moto, he feels that it should have been an easier one for him in this one, and he'll go back to the drawing board over the break. A 43-point advantage in this championship heading into the final 8 motos of the year, which we will come back to on August 10th at Unadilla. How about T-Lang, though? Boy, oh boy, it was looking rough there for a moment halfway through this moto, but he pulled himself back together. He's going to end up 3rd in this one, and a 6.3 on the day. I don't know if it'll be enough for a podium. It'll be close, as Colby Eaglin, yeah, I think 4.4 is going to beat his 6.3 by a nose. And then Jack Haley rounded out the top 5 with Adam Holm back in 6th. Bryce Whelan's going to miss the box here with a 7th. So as Whelan comes down, he will pick up P7 in this one. Matthias Janis, who at one point was battling Alexis Leclerc for 3rd. But you can see how much things have changed from that point onward, but still a solid ride for Janis. He's going to pick up an 8th in this one to couple his 7th in Moto 1. A couple top 10s on the day. I think he'll be happy with that one. Cooper Hunt will pick up a 9th in this moto after 5th in Moto 1. So pretty much elected to forego his fight for 2nd in the 250 championship this year to come and race the 450 class here at Washougal. He'll leave here with a couple top 10 finishes. Not too bad. All is said and done. And Castellaneta is going to just beat Trevor Burns to the line for the final position inside of the top 10. Burns, he gets 11th. Chase Blakely, much better second moto when you factor in that it was a 29th in Moto 1 for him. For the local kid out of Oregon, he'll pick up 12th in this one. Pablo Vial, 4th in the championship coming in, but a rough night at the races for the fast Frenchman on the 137. He was 10th in Moto 1. He's going to be 13th here in Moto number 2, as Reno Brennan will be 14th. Rogan McIntosh, 15th. K-Carp, Kyle Carpenter was 16th. Asher Rakowski, 17th. Caleb Hall, 18th. Blake O'Brien, 19th. And Anthony Pichon rounded out the top 20 as we will wait for cuts to come in to make it official. As Johnson has won the Washougal National, waiting for it to be confirmed. One rider still across the line, just waiting. The flag is waving. We're on the tip of our seat. There we go. And penalties applied. Nothing inside of the top 10 has changed. And it looks like only Caleb Hall is going to shoot up to 17th on penalties afterwards. So that's the only change. Johnson wins the overall with a 1-1 performance at Washougal and carries with him a 43-point advantage into the final 4 races of 2022. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is going to do it for us here tonight live here on Start Your Systems on YouTube, Indie Esports on Twitch, or STV, wherever you decided to watch with us tonight. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. So we will be back after a long break. There's going to be a 3-week break, a 2-weekend break, I guess is what you would call it, but a 3-week break. Obviously, today is July 20th. The next round will be August 10th at Unadilla. There's going to be a long break in the schedule, so we won't be back here for the next 2 Wednesdays. Unfortunately, if you're used to tuning in every Wednesday night, we won't be here. Maybe we'll do some fun live streams or something maybe on one of those days or something like that, but a little bit of a break coming up before that final 4-run stretch of the season starting at Unadilla. August 10th will be Unadilla. August 17th will be Buds. August 24th will be Ironman, and then August 31st, I believe, or is it? Yeah, August 31st will be the final round at Fox Raceway at Pala. So, yeah, we are down to the home stretch of this championship. We only have 4 rounds to go. 8 rounds are now complete, and boy, oh boy, both classes tonight provided a lot of entertainment. Shout out, of course, to Cade Matherly for his first career moto and overall victory, and of course, congratulations to Payson Johnson on his overall victory here tonight at Washougal. So we're going to head into the break, and we're going to see you guys in a couple weeks' time. But hopefully you guys enjoyed round 8 of the 2022 AMA Esport Motocross Championship here in MX Simulator. Of course, my name is Callum Brower, signing off for now, and we'll see you guys in a few weeks back here at Unadilla. Bye-bye for now.